Close here. 1 minute till showtime. We're getting ready to start up the YouTube part of it. It says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, we did it.
Good job. Okay, everybody's mostly here. Sorry, we gotta wait right till 6 o'clock before we can legally start this.
I don't know. Make sure I have it.
Is that the only one?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, Laurie tells me. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, we'll call to order the regular scheduled meeting of the Pleasant View City Council this May 12th, 2020, 6 p.m. Welcome, everybody, joining us through Zoom. We're here at the Anchor location with myself, Councilmember Bailey, Chief Hadley, Laurie, our recorder. Everybody else is joining remotely through Zoom. Have one question, then one Mark Steven Sells. Sells your last name? We just named it for the minutes. So.
Oh, sorry. That's Carson Fillin with Steven Sells.
Carson what?
Fillin, F-I-L-L-I-N. Like fill in the blank.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. Everybody else we got there? Okay.
1985 trailer because it's too loud in my house with my kids, so I'm in my trailer.
There you go. All right, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, the opening prayer reading or expression of thought by Sarah Uri. Flag's behind me. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will everyone please rise for the pledge? Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll go ahead and offer a prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to meet together as a city council and mayor and members of the community. We ask that thy spirit will be with us, that we will make wise and prudent decisions regarding the general welfare and safety of our city. Help us to consider all aspects and to be objective as we can. We're so grateful for this great nation that we live in and the freedoms that we enjoy. Please bless the leaders of this nation and our state and community that they and we will make good decisions regarding the people that we represent. Please bless the military to be safe from harm. Bless those who are serving overseas and within our country. We're grateful for the many blessings that we enjoy, and we ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Sarah. Next item on the agenda is the declaration of conflicts of interest. Does the council have a chance to review the agenda? And are there any conflicts of interest to declare?
No, not with me.
We've had to comments or questions for the mayor and council from members of the public.
Yes, I have one.
Okay, go ahead, Richard.
Well, I have come in to with Jill and talked with the mayor and with Bill Cobab and I'm still not getting any response to the inspector's request, Sean Lambert, to have the bushes cut back to the 3-foot height, 40-foot back from the property line that was issued clear back in August 12th of 2019. Every time I've come in to talk to anybody, they just keep passing to somebody else, that it's being referred to the mayor, it's being referred to Bill, it's being referred to the attorney. but there's still nothing being done. And I just wanted to put this on the public record that something needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else with questions or comments? Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda, minutes of April 28th, 2020, and the bills of Pleasant View City. You had a chance to review the minutes and the bills? Any corrections?
See, I had one correction in the minutes,
Right?
just underneath the item number 1, business with the martial arts. It quoted me as saying there should be 30 minutes between classes, but that was a question.
Yeah.
So I was actually in favor of 15 minutes between classes. And I think that's how we actually made the motion, was with 15 minutes in between.
That is correct. Okay, she's made that change.
Thank you.
Okay, any other corrections or questions concerning the bills? If not, I
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve these agenda items, the consent items,
Okay.
as stated with the stated change.
All right. Second motion. Motion by Gibson, second by Bailey. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Great, thank you. Item 1 on the business is the Pleasant View present the Youth City Council scholarships to Ambry Burgraff and Blake Whitlock. I see Blake joined us. Hi, Blake. Looks like we got some family members in both now, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I am so sorry that, and you guys, you know, I feel so bad for all students, especially the seniors. I happen to have a grandson who's a senior this year, and it's been quite an experience for you, I'm sure. And you'll be that generation that says, I was a senior. And that's probably more important than, because you know what, a week after graduation, life is going on and going forward, and it was just a flash in the past. This would be very memorable. However, I really wish you were in person here, that we were holding a council and that I could shake each one of your hands and thank you for the great service you've done on our Youth City Council. I'm sure in every aspect of your life is just as professional and handle things. It's unbelievable. We have such a great Youth City Council, and it's because of leaders like yourselves. It's my honor to be able to present to, we'll start with Ambry. Okay. You with this $500 scholarship from the city. It's not a lot, but it's in great appreciation for everything you've done. And you've been just awesome. You've been great to be here every time and keep us up to date. We're going to miss you. What's your future plans?
I will be attending BYU in the fall and then serving a mission next year.
Awesome. That is wonderful. Council members, do you have any comments or questions for Andrew?
Just thank you. Wonderful job. Well done.
Yeah, Ambry and Blake, both of you, great leadership, and just really impressed with how you conducted yourself and led the kids in our city. Thank you so much for your great dedication and service. Good job, you guys.
I
It's nice
second that as well.
It's nice to see that the youth, I mean, we think of the kids as being worthless and, you know, not being able to do anything. Yet we see these kids like this that are just give me as an old man hope for the future, and I really appreciate that. It was just really excellent to see you in that leadership of those in those roles. So thank you.
We've had a great youth city council this year and in past years, but this one has been just awesome, and been able to do several activities with them, and they're just been wonderful. Blake, also will present you with a $500 scholarship too, and again, we appreciate your leadership over the Youth City Council. It's just, you guys, I just can't beam enough about you guys. You just so involved, and such good leaders. We've had a big youth city council this year. We had some messed up activities. It's, but life's been messed up the last couple of months, so it's understandable. Hopefully things will get back to normal so that you can go away to school and on your mission. And I know, like I said, I have a grandson that's graduating and his mission's on hold for now. So it's a messed up time. Blake, what are your plans?
I will also be going to BYU in the fall, and then maybe a whole year, and then go on a mission shortly after.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I wanted
Why are
to
you
tell,
lucky to get the two of you? Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to second what all of you guys have said about Blake and Embry. These two are exceptional young adults, and I've just been really grateful to be able to interact with them and learn from them, and just catch on to their enthusiasm about life and their goals and dedication. I'm so impressed with those two, and these scholarships are well deserved and much, much more. So congratulations, you guys, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Parents, great job with these. And flipping there, Blake, it looks like you got some.
Yeah, well, let's all clap. Yay.
Congratulate your hands, but we'll give you the elbow. Good luck in all your future endeavors. You guys have just been awesome. I really can't just say enough good about you two. So make us proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And then,
Thank you.
Bart, how are they going to get these? In mail
I
them?
will
or-
mail it to them.
Okay, she'll mail it to you, all righty? All right, thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's been so great to be on the council and come to meetings. So thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Embry.
Okay, anybody else before we move on to the next item? Steve, like. Okay, item 2 is discussion of possible action to grant an exemption to the home occupation conditions to allow a person other than a bona fide resident of the premises and conducting outside the primary structure on the premise for a swimming lesson classes at 366 West, 4400 North. Requester Jason Nelson. Is Jason on?
I am, yes.
Okay. Laura, do you want to hit that first before we have
Yeah,
a question for Jason?
as you know, according to our home occupation, if they all have to, the people that live at the home have to be part of the home occupation list. They get a variance from you guys, and he does want to get an instructor. And there is a pool in their backyard, so it will not be inside the home, but will be outside. We do have another business license that teaches swimming already. We have not gotten any complaints on that one. The same thing, we've issued it before. If it does become a nuisance, we will have to follow the nuisance ordinance, and which includes abatement. It looks like Jason's here if he wants to say anything more about his request.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's so that the council knows these are planned to be small lessons, 6 to a maximum of 8 students in a class. We have thankfully, given our setup of our home, ample parking area. 4 cars can fit in the driveway. Another 4 can fit just on the curb frontage in front of our house. Most of the neighbors are the ones interested in lessons. So we don't anticipate traffic or parking being a problem. And the instructor has 30 that we want to have teach him, has 30 years of experience teaching swim lessons from Ben Lomond Pool. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of your children have taken lessons from her, but it is also adult, infant, and youth CPR and first aid certified, and just excellent at it. Lessons would run mornings, Monday through Thursday, in half-hour intervals, and I think that's it.
Any questions for Jason or Laurie? Council?
Jason, when you and I talked before, I was just curious if you were able to find out what sort of stipulations and it's not necessarily city you required, but I was just curious about the insurance aspect of what your insurance company.
So homeowners insurance doesn't provide liability coverage for business interests of any kind. Well, we're very, very limited. And so they'll cover business equipment or a few things. But so they had recommended if we were interested in liability insurance, just to pursue a rider through an independent insurance carrier to cover the business operations. So we do plan to have each student sign a release and hold harmless agreement, just where their parents acknowledge, you know, the risks of them being in a 4-foot deep swimming pool. So.
No, that's good to know. That's good business practices anyway, so.
Okay.
Mayor, I think everybody should learn how to swim, and if these guys are willing to teach people to swim, I think we should give them that exemption. So I'll make the motion to approve this item number 2 as stated.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Gibson, second by, I think, Yuri. All right.
Can we, Mayor, can we make a change to that and similar to what our last one and add 15 minutes between classes? I think that would go a long ways, and similar to having the traffic issue we had on the last one. Just a suggestion.
I think you already stated it was 30 minutes between classes already, right?
Yeah, no, they're
30-minute long.
Yeah, can I address that one? Yeah, so they're 30-minute long lessons. We would strongly prefer to have them, to not have them gapped, and for a couple of reasons. One of them being safety. Most of these are families that want to take them that have multiple kids at different swim levels, and so they'll take classes back to back, right? The little tinies that are in just beginner, you know, where they kind of splash in the pool, or at 9 o'clock, and their older siblings that are a little more advanced would be at the 9:30 class. And so to not have families sit and wait, and really my concern is not have kids running around an open pool for a gap period of time. We found that we think, and our instructors told us based on her past experience, it's best to get one group out, get another group in, and have those other kids that have just finished head out and be gone, so that they don't have to be supervised there running around the backyard for a gap period.
I'm good with that, with my motion, Mayor. I'll leave it as that. Unless it gets out of hand, I think that's with anything. If it becomes a nuisance, or if there becomes a roadblock or something, or congestion, then we'll have to reevaluate it, I think. But I'll let it stand as the motion was made, for me personally.
I'll second it.
My second, I think, will stand with Steve's.
Okay.
So.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Item 3 is discussion of possible action to grant an exemption to the home occupation conditions to allow a person other than the bona fide residents of the premises and conduct outside the primary structure on the premises for contractor business at 3400 North, 1000 West. Darcy Mock and Laurie.
Yes, this is one, she's on 1000 West. We have received a complaint on this. They are storing equipment outside, and it's not conducted within the home. She's also wanting to have 4 employees, and apparently their vehicles will be parked at premise, and equipment will be stored on premise. This seems like a business that should be more in an industrial zone and not a residential zone. So you may want to discuss that to see if it's possible to make the business more of a residential type business. But this discussion is open to you guys.
Okay, Darcy, I guess I'll
And who's there?
all right, come on in. I'll ask you the question that from you just looking at it. Why at a residence instead of a?
So we do have 4 employees, but those 4 employees don't work here. They park here. We're a construction contractor. We install helical piles for spot footings. Mm-hmm. So when we install for a spot footing, it requires a mini X and a helical pile, which is a 7-foot long shaft. And so our employees will come to our home, park, and we're having them park in the back now. They'll park back behind our home, and then they'll take Mini X out on a job site, like they're not even here. They're working somewhere else, but they're parking at our home location. One of the main reasons we are doing this, and Ryan's actually calling in, he's the phone number listed down at the bottom. He's my husband.
Okay.
He's out on a job site right now too. But one of the primary reasons we do have it based out of our home, I'm the owner and I run the whole thing, but I have health conditions. I taught for 18 years and I have health conditions that made me leave that occupation. We found something that I can work and succeed at, being home and being able to still have those health conditions met and do what I need to do here. So that's the primary reason that we are running it from here, so I can manage that. We don't have, we do have them parked here. We do have some things in place, so it won't visually look a whole lot different. I've been getting quotes for fences that we'll be putting a privacy fence around our land. As for the equipment is, they're mini excavators. They're 39 inches wide. Can be farm equipment or not farm equipment. We use it quite often for farm equipment when we have some goats. We have 2 acres here. And so, and that's the basis of kind of what we're doing and how we run it. So our crew, basically, they come here, park here, leave, and then come and drop off our truck and trailer, and then they take their cars and go back.
Okay, so on the back of the application, it says 1 employee as a personal assistant working inside the home.
Right, so I've got 1 personal assistant. Like today when she was here, she was helping me with my kids, making sure I ate food, checking my blood pressure, but then she also does some managerial things here and there with us for me as well. So
and then the 3 crew staff that they park there, but they do not work there.
Correct. I didn't want to have anything be like, ooh, I'm trying to keep this quiet or something like that. I wanted to be straightforward, but because yes, their vehicles are here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But they aren't working here.
Can I ask a question? So some of the residents are complaining about noise. What kind of construction is going on in the back that's causing noise?
So we were trying to figure that out. We're thinking, okay, if there was a complaint, the only thing we can think of would be that we have a skid steer that as it backs up, it beeps.
Do you not do construction on site?
Well, we have a permit right now because we're putting an addition to have our garage connected and to have my office so I don't have to go up and down stairs because that's part of my health issues. So we're putting an addition on, which right now that naturally would have, we have our permit.
So that's not business related to your business?
No, I mean, I'll have my office over there, but that's just a home office that can be a bedroom or whatever.
So once your addition is done, the back, you'll have a privacy fence, if I understand correctly. Your equipment will be stored there, but no actual work will be done. Employees will just park on site and do the work at a different location.
Right, with the exception of my assistant that's with me.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like the noise is probably associated more with the construction than the business.
Yeah, as long as the construction's, the business aspect's not done at the residence itself and you have your privacy and your equipment stored and things like that, then I could see that that's more conducive to a neighborhood setting.
Right.
It's important too, everyone understands that Darcy and her husband are in the process of putting up a building behind their home to store all of their supplies and their equipment in. It looks like, I mean, they do have things outside. They have some inventory and stuff stacked in the backyard, but their plan is to put a building up to house all that. So it would look no different than some of us that have a barn in the backyard. So it's important.
So I drove by yesterday to take a look at it, and for me, it looks very industrial back there. Like, I do have concerns that it doesn't look like a home, you know, in the back. It looks like there's a lot of construction going on.
So right now, we have a little bit more inventory, well, a lot bit more inventory than we typically do, because a month and a half ago when COVID-19, everything kind of started with it, our headquarters called and said, we don't know when we're going to open back up. You've got 1 day to get any inventory you might need through the end of June. Now, typically we have enough in stock to do 1 month, just because we don't want that. We don't want to have, you know, 20, 30 pallets of anything back there. But we really didn't have an option. We had to get 14 pallets when we typically get 2. And so just to try to figure out and just be able to keep our business running. So right now, I do agree that we have a lot more than we typically have, but that is outside the norm. And very soon we will have a structure that will have all of that enclosed in it. We've got the things that we have in place right now that are on, I mean, we've got like our timetable set up. We're putting a privacy fence, the addition on our home. After those 2 things are complete, we'll be putting the, it's a barn park garage that will be having all of our inventory. So none of that stuff will even be visible. It won't look, it's a garage, so that they'll be housed inside the garage.
What kind of timeline are you looking at, Darcy?
We're hoping within the next year to have the addition and, well, the fence within the next month and a half. The addition we're hoping is done within this next 6 months. And then after that, we have the garage being designed right now and working with those engineers to be able to have that done. So after that, then hopefully the garage within the 1.5 years after that.
So your equipment will still be, well, so if the fence is around it, but the equipment and everything won't be in a structure until for about 1 year.
So the equipment, just like our tractors, I mean,
your inventory and
yeah,
things
the
like
inventory probably will be about 1 year, but that will also be depleting. It has been depleting, but and we'll kind of refine that. But if we do need to kind of consolidate it a little bit, so it's not as spread out right now, it's spread out for functionality and efficiency purposes. But if we need to kind of consolidate that into an area, we can. But I think that the privacy fence will block off the visual part of that, so it won't be visible.
Darcy, what are your normal business hours? And what does a typical day look like?
So our crews typically get here about 8:30 in the morning, and then most of the time they're back by about 4. Today's a little bit different just because they got out on site and the site wasn't prepared till, was it, Ryan, like noon or 1? They weren't ready for you?
Yeah, we had to wait till about 1 to get going on the job today, so we're just now wrapping up.
Yeah. I was just curious about how early in the morning. I mean, if there's noise issues, if you guys are, you know, leaving at 5 in the morning every day, that kind of thing. So
no, usually we roll out 8:30 to 9.
Okay.
So on the application, it says under one of those bullet points, it just says would alter the residential character of the dwelling or the residential atmosphere of the neighborhood. I guess that's one concern I have, is just it doesn't feel very residential when you see what's going on in the backyard. So I do have a concern that way.
So with a 6-foot privacy fence, and if our stuff was, I mean, until we have our building, I don't think that will be visible at that point.
What about from the park?
And that's just, well, the privacy fence will be in the back section as well. We can have it all lined, kind of set up so as you're looking down from the park that those things aren't visible. How we've laid out kind of the plot map, I guess you'd say, is that if if the park's up here looking down this direction and the fence is here, we can have our piles here so they're not visible. So you're just seeing and you're just seeing the ground and the pasture and
this is going to be up in the next month and a half.
The fence is going to be up in the next month and a half. Yes.
So
as
I don't know.
much as we can around the backyard. Where we're doing the addition, we can't get it there yet.
I guess I don't necessarily have a concern because we have a lot of construction type businesses that operate like this in Pleasant View. I think there are at least a few that I know of, but yeah, just is there any zoning requirements that we're ignoring or we don't know about that, I mean, at least that I don't know about? What's it zoned for there?
Lori?
Or Bill?
It's RE20.
So it is a residential zone and it is subject to the zoning requirements. There may be also nuisance ordinances that take effect in the case of noises or other kinds of concerns that way.
Well, the equipment in a residential zone has to be stored on certain kind of surfaces that can't be on just your, like the gravel and things like that. Any equipment in your backyard or on your side or whatever else. It can't just be on the grass and weeds.
And it's typically stored on the trailers themselves.
Okay.
Because we've got our trailer, I mean, the only time that it's really off the trailers at all is if we're doing something for the addition. Very rarely. I mean, Ryan, do you ever take it off for anything else?
Once in a while to fix a sprinkler line or something, we'll use an excavator and take it off. But no, I mean, so we put in the gravel so it looks kind of like Art Bingham, which is our neighbor, right? We set it up to kind of look like his area, which is real similar to ours width-wise and everything. So he's got a shop and he's got the whole area with the road base and gravel where he parks his stuff. So we kind of set it up to look a lot like that. We just don't have the barn yet.
I just have another question. You guys border the the canal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any requirements as far as putting a fence right on the canal, or does that matter? Do you guys know, or Bill, do you know?
So we can't be on the fence, but the fence will actually, we have a pasture and the fence will be around that pasture. So it'll come up on the other side. We've got to be 10, if I'm understanding correctly, we've got to be 10 feet in from the canal. Is that correct?
And you've been in contact with them, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We worked with them when they wanted to take all of the trees out right after we moved here.
Uh-oh.
And everything like that. Our fence back to be able to, they had to take our fence down by the pool to be able to take the trees out and things.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the exception as discussed, and then take a look at it in 1 year and see how they're progressing relative to the building behind the house. So we just keep in touch with them, but I make a motion that we approve the exception as discussed.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Bailey, second by Marriott. Further discussion?
I kind of like to ask other council members if they've been over to see it, because I'm just thinking if I moved in next door, I would have concerns. I'm hesitant. I think we should table it tonight. Let everybody go look at it and decide if you'd like to live next door. It's pretty intense there.
I think Councilman Bailey's motion said, let's re-look at it in a year. That will separate the business from the current construction.
I'd like to move that up to
mix the two together, and it's kind of hard and to hold off allowing them to conduct business just because they're in the middle of constructing an addition, and I don't know where the two, but I think that's probably a wise move in the motion is to reevaluate it in a year once the two have
Mayor. I would like to amend that motion though, if we can move it up to 6 months, because the fence is supposed to be around it. I think that I think Darcy's correct, and that might alleviate a lot of the concerns if there's a good privacy fence, but I think a year is a little bit long to wait. So can we reevaluate that in 6 months?
Darcy?
What was that?
When the building would be, didn't you say it's out about a year?
So that's with our current timetable, yes. It's being engineered right now. And so we're looking at right about a year. If we need to put our addition on hold and do the building first, we can look at, I mean, that's,
You need to get your addition done. That's the reason you're
Yeah.
building addition is for personal health problems. A year is, I mean, you gotta consider that they're putting an addition on the house. That's the mess. I mean, the backyard is, even though there's some piles of inventory, they're very neatly piled. I get that if you just drove by and didn't know these people, then you might be concerned. But they're my neighbors. I get to drive past it every day and look at it. And so they're people of integrity. I really think that we need to give them a year to make things right and get their addition done and get their fence up and stuff. I mean, you know what, if it gets worse, Darcy, then we'll have to take action within that year. But I just think that from my point of view anyway, we need to give them a chance, give them some time. 6 months is too soon. They need at least a year to get their addition done.
Not for the building, but for the fence, because she mentioned the fence would be done.
The fence will be in our month. Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yes, you can, Steve. Go ahead, please.
You know, I drove by today with your recommendation, and I agree. But the problem that I see is a half-acre lot versus a third-acre lot versus a 2-acre lot. You know, in a regular residential, I mean, I'm on a half-acre lot, and if I had piles of dirt, my neighbors would be frustrated with me. A 2-acre lot, there's a lot more stuff going on there, and it's hard to have it be a garden, you know, like a residential place. So I can see both sides. I think we're on a slippery slope a little bit, turning a lot of these residential areas into, as Dave talked about, you know, there's a lot of people that have dump trucks and different things that they park on the side of their house, or school buses, or different, you know, these things. And so I really think it's the residential look of a half-acre lot, third-acre lot versus the bigger 2-acre lots. You know, what do you do with that extra acre and a half that you don't have your house on? And as you drive up 1,000, or you drive up some of these places where they have a barn or outbuildings or stuff like that, they're not typically landscaped like a house would be. And I think, and that's kind of what you're looking at in a residential area, right? That'd be kind of a, you know, and so I agree. And I think we should, as with Councilman Bailey talked about, I think a year, look at it a year, give them an opportunity to get there. I would not want you to have your office take a back seat to the barn. You know, let's get you in a nice place, get the building going. We want every property in Pleasant View to look good. You know, we don't want it to be a dump. We don't want it to be I don't want to name a name, but we want things to look good. And you know, with weeds and with all those different things, we want it to be a place where property values are high, and we want that. And so I think if we look at it in a year and to say, listen, you've got to clean it up. There's a lot of other buildings that are with weeds and stuff around that we need to work on.
Well, and I agree with you completely. In fact, I don't know if any of you ever saw our house before we bought it. But if you did see our house before we bought it, I've got pictures of it. We didn't even know there was a basketball hoop in the backyard. We didn't know there was a basketball court in the backyard because the weeds were taller than me. The whole pool was completely grown in. There were trees in the pool. The whole thing was completely overgrown. You couldn't walk in. It was weedy and dead. And
well, the house across the street from you, you know, we need to look at that as an eyesore, honestly.
Well, they kind of mirrored each other.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that right now is not a good indication of what our standards of what the exterior looks like, because within 6 months, we had it landscaped, we had it greened up, we bought goats before we even moved into the house. We were living in a trailer in the backyard and bought goats to be able, like you said, what do you do with this extra land? We bought goats to help maintain that, to make sure that would be taken care of.
I'm sorry that you had to get the goats.
We love them. They're so fun. Now they're better than dogs.
Anyway, just know that, you know, Pleasant View, we have a standard here, and we try to maintain that. And I think that's what the concern is. is to not turn it into something that's commercial. And I think we're on the line, honestly, in my opinion. So, and I agree with you, but I would just say that, you know, I'll vote with the motion, Mayor, when you go with that. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, just one more question. So does the variance expire in the year, or they have to reapply, or we just reevaluate and it continues? How does that work if we give it a year?
Just reevaluate.
They all expire the end of December.
So it would have to be redone in December anyway.
Well,
Don't they just reapply through the business?
the business license expires every year,
but not the variance.
No.
But yeah.
So how would that work then? Does it come up automatically? You keep notes of that and then it comes back before council, or just a staff looks at it, or what? How does that work, Lori?
If you say a year, I'll put it on the agenda a year from now.
Okay.
They'll renew, and they'll have to renew their license for next 2021, and then you guys go from there if you want to.
Yeah, generally, if there are no problems, if there are no issues or no complaints, then it's just it's a rubber stamp kind of a thing, but it does give us a chance to reevaluate and come back and look at it and make sure that there haven't been any complaints. And if there have been complaints, have they been resolved appropriately?
That's my next question. If there's complaints that happen in the meantime from now until that year, do we address them? Is there, you know, if there's an excessive complaints or what?
We can address them, but first we got to identify, okay, because the nature of the complaints so far is about the construction, not
of the addition. Yeah.
So
I say we make a motion that Councilman Bailey brings or looks at that in a year and reports back to us.
And that's what your motion was?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
No, but that he does it personally. He takes responsibility and looks at it in a
I
year.
take full responsibility. Darcy.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have other neighbors. If you drove down our street, we have other
yes.
They look like the Taj Mahal compared to some of the neighbors down the street. So,
yeah.
So sorry, just for clarification, we're going to bring it before the council again next year, or we're not?
Yes, I think, yes, we are. We're bringing it before the council next year.
Larry will make a note and bring it to us. Okay, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Is it 5-0, everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
And Ryan. Oh, Ryan left. Okay.
I'll let him know.
Okay.
Oh, can I just add one little thing? I forgot to even say anything on here. Just looking at the agenda. So we do helical piles. And so if there is any need for it or anything like that, then we can help out.
Always the entrepreneur. All right. Thank you, Darcy. All right. Item 4 is presentation, discussion, and possible action to approve streetlight selections as recommended by the Streetlight Committee. Who wants to start this off? Emily, Dana, or Carson?
Well, I'm going to talk, but Dana's going to show her screen. So if she can show her screen, and I can talk.
I'm just here for a face to look at, so.
Well, sorry, Carson, you're going away.
Go away, Carson.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, so we're just going to give you a brief overview of kind of where we've been and where we are, and then where we're going. So, Dana, next slide.
Uh-oh.
It won't let me.
Okay, there we go. I got it. I hit the wrong button.
So the whole point of our study and our decision to move forward with Rocky Mountain Power no longer maintaining and owning our streetlights was to save the city money. We also wanted to brand the city, give the city a Pleasant View City look for streetlights. Okay. So first we determined the feasibility. We did an analysis of the current cost of the lights, how many lights we have, what we were paying currently for Rocky Mountain Power each month for power alone, and determined based on our analysis that what's a definite cost savings for the city to move forward with city-owned streetlights. We formed a committee based on the recommendation of the council. consisted of myself, Bill, Laurie, Jill, Tyson, Alicia Lund, Debbie, and Dana. Then after we were in a committee, we selected a supplier to help us put together the look and feel of the light that we wanted. And we received 2 RFPs, and we selected, or we received more than 2. We only interviewed 2. We selected Stephen Sales Company, who is Carson Fillin, for our streetlight supplier. And he's here to answer questions for us.
You say we, that was the council that selected that, right?
Yes, correct. Right now, so where we're at is selecting the actual streetlight model that will be the Pleasant View City streetlight. And before the committee selected the recommendation, we reran our cost analysis to make sure that it was still a cost-saving benefit to the city, and not just we were going to save money, but we chose a light that doesn't meet that. So we did rerun the analysis, and it does still net a savings to the city. Dana's going to talk about the recommendations that the committee is proposing for the 3 types of streetlights.
Okay. So can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay. So there's 3, we determined there would be 3 different types of streetlights. We have residential streetlights. We're going to do a corridor type light, and then intersections. And the differences are the residential will be your everyday street light in your neighborhood, the ones that are between blocks, not at intersections, or be mid-block, I should say. The corridor and the exact corridors are still to be defined, but that's going to be a little more maybe decorative, a little taller street light, would mainly be probably along Pleasant View Drive and around City Hall and the city complex. And then the intersections, because we want a little better lighting at intersections, we kind of made those their own separate thing because we wanted the safety aspect to come through on that. So starting out with the residential, we narrowed it down. We had a couple different options. We narrowed it down to residential 1 and residential 3. Then you can see the difference in the base is the same, but the heads are different. Actually, the only thing that's really different is this bottom part here. It really kind of gives it a very different feel than this one. So we have the assembly cost, and then we estimated a fully installed cost. We ran the cost analysis for a 50-year cycle, and that includes replacing the light 1 time. So initial installation, going 25 years, replacing it because they do have a life. So that is 1 replacement. And it is a 50-year savings of approximately $5,500 per fixture or per light. So for every street light you have in Pleasant View, every residential street light, you'll be saving $5,500 over the course of 50 years. So this is the look and feel that the committee. So this is our committee recommendation. And I'm just going to go through the other 2 just so you guys can see all those. So this is the corridor style, which, like I said, is a little fancier, a little taller. This is a 21-foot height pole. We have optional banners or banner arms or optional baskets. These aren't things we're going to order right off the bat, but they are available. Let me go back to the residential and tell you the height. So it's a 19-foot pole and a 16-foot height to this arm here. And then the corridor is a 21-foot pole with a 18-foot to that pole, to that arm. So it is a little taller. This has the same look and feel as the residential. That's the one that we're recommending. The total cost savings over the 50 years is about $3,800 per fixture. And that, like I said, includes one replacement. And then the final one is the intersection light. We went through a couple different I'm trying to think of the word.
A couple different iterations.
Iterations are yeah, kind of mix and matching the fixture and the base. So if you can tell, this base is I think it's 32 inches tall. And then we also looked at a taller base, but it did add some money. So we decided to stay with the shorter base. This is a taller pole. It's about a 20-foot pole. And we're recommending the Cobra head rather than the fancier fixture. Like I said, because we're concentrating on safety at the intersections. And this does have a 50-year cost savings of about $2,700 per fixture. These two, because of the base and because of the fixture, the 50-year cost savings was not a cost savings. So the committee recommendation is the Cobra head with the shorter base, and this will match the other two light styles.
So what would be the next step after, you know, if the council approves these, where do we go from here? Because I was going to ask, what have we identified as a corridor? Where,
sure.
You know,
so let me
step, let's see.
Let me go back to that. Okay. Okay, Emily.
So, Mayor, to answer your question, we would then implement the selection. So we would execute the contract that we have with Stevens Sales, that is our light, and we would move forward with continuing to lock in the price. Is that correct, Carson?
Yeah, that's correct.
And then we would update our public works standards for streetlights. So the drawing would match the language that's already been adopted.
So the new subdivisions would be putting in these new lights.
Correct, yes.
Okay, sorry.
Then once the streetlights selected, we would then do an analysis of the current placement of streetlights. We've already mapped out where all the current streetlights are. We haven't really done an analysis to make sure that the lights are positioned the distance that we want them. Does it make sense to have lights installed where they're currently installed? Do we need more lighting on certain streets? We would do an analysis. From that analysis, we would create a phased replacement plan to replace existing streetlights, as well as a phased plan to install new streetlights in new locations. We would then adopt that plan. So we'd come up with it, go through it, and then adopt it.
And Mayor, this is where we would come up with where we want the corridors to be, would be in this map analysis.
Okay, so it sounds like if we adopt the plan and get it in our public works standards, that's probably a good thing, because we're capturing all the new construction going on. Obviously, for the existing stuff that we're going to replace, funding is going to be part of that new install plan.
Correct.
Also, going to have to really look at that. But if we get the selection made, and then we can get it in our public works standard. So, because every light that's going in without this is a light that, one more that needs to be replaced down the road somewhere. It might be 20 years from now, but it will need to be replaced sometime down the road.
Right, correct.
And we have held off on any new installs. We've been kind of keeping track of the newer subdivisions and holding off on getting those lights in. So, and we are starting to get complaints that people want their street lights. So that's why we're kind of pushing this along.
Okay.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
You betcha. Go ahead, Steve.
And I don't want to make, I know the Bill and I have fought several times over some of this stuff, so I don't want to go down that road necessarily, because I agree 100% with new construction and having a standard and the corridor, I think that's kind of, that look. But when we originally started looking at this, we had the sodium height. What are they in there now? Sodium
vapor.
Sodium vapor, we have those, and those are costing us so much, and I can't remember the numbers, but whatever it was, on a wooden pole with the Cobra light. And I thought originally, before we got into all this, the fancy poles and the fancy lights, that we were going to look at replacing those sodium Cobras with an LED or something Cobra on our own pole, because Rocky Mountain Power would not sell us the poles, correct?
Correct.
Or they would not give those up.
Right.
And we were paying a certain amount of money, and I can't remember. Wasn't it $200 a year or something like that for the electricity, and then we had to pay a certain amount for each pole as a insurance to have them come and do nothing to the light. I mean, again, I don't know the exact figures, but Dana, I mean, is that right?
Right. So right now, the majority of the lights are owned and maintained by Rocky Mountain Power,
Right.
and hence the higher costs.
So I want to look at this twofold, if you don't mind, and maybe, and this is where I don't want to get in a fight with Bill again or the mayor.
We never fight, Steve. Come on.
No, I know, but we've had several discussions with this. The new implementation and the corridors and some of those things, I think this is a wonderful thing, and I really compliment the committee on doing it. But there is a real savings. I mean, how many lights do we have that are the old style on a wooden pole with the Cobra head with the sodium, whatever it is, right now?
I don't know off the top of my head. We did do the inventory.
I mean, is there 500 of those, or just a number, something like that? I know it's been out there. I mean, you did a study of every pole and every light that we had in the city.
Yes.
Emily, it was around like 200, wasn't it? 250?
Yeah, that sounds about right. About 250 of them.
So 250 of those, and I mean, I would say, just in my own mind, that the savings that comes from replacing those sodium vapor or whatever it is with an LED, we would see some immediate savings, because just to change the wooden pole on an LED light, isn't there some good savings there to the city just on the day-to-day, and not over a 50-year? You're spending this out over 50 years. We're going to save $5,000 per light in some of these areas that we want them. Again, it's two different areas in my opinion. I drove through Jacobs Mill, and they've got some really nice lights there. We're not going to make them change those, obviously.
No, those are privately owned, if I remember correctly.
Jacobs Mill is privately owned?
I believe so.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
that was
and
part of the
when you do
discussion
that-
before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're not
Do
gonna make
that
them
study,
change
you would
those, or-
identify and do those types last,
Right.
if anything.
Yeah, the newer poles would go last,
Right.
right? Because we would we'd start with the older poles and replace them first.
But isn't there, I mean, are we going to, again, all the new building, again, Dan, I 100% agree with that. We need to get a standard, and we need to have that put, so when they build it to our standard. Again, that's not a discussion. But through the rest of the city, do we have any numbers on how much it's costing us right now to maintain the Rocky Mountains ownership of that, and how much we pay them for those lights versus making a quick change and going? I mean, it's less electricity, it's less maintenance on Tyson to make a different change. Does that making sense at all, or is that, am I just talking?
So Steve, let me show you a sheet that we have, and I think it might answer your question, or at least shed some light on it, and hopefully.
Okay.
So this is, and I'm sorry if it's hard to read.
No, that's good.
Okay, this is the city's current inventory.
177 lights.
Yes, and this is a mix of whether they're owned by Rocky Mountain Power, they're maintained by Rocky Mountain Power, or partially or fully. It's a crazy thing. But so right now on some of those, and I'm just going to guess, like those intersection lights are probably these.
So 500 West in Alberta, right there by the city. You pass it every day. It's a It's an old Cobra light it's a very dark yellow color, not very well illuminated, right on the corner.
So
I think we should do something like that.
Right. So it might be
$69 a month for that. What we're paying right now.
Right. It's $23 per light.
Sorry,
So,
my lights are the pictures are they're blocking that for me. I can't see.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, it's so that's the total because you have three. But it's about $23 a light if that's that type of light. And to go to an LED would be $12 a light, but they charge you to change out that light. The head, Rocky Mountain Power will.
But they retain ownership of it.
If that's the way you want to go, that's one option, is to call them and say, we want you to replace the fixture on this, but they charge you. And I can't.
They charge. Oh yeah, thanks.
We met with the lady in charge of Streetlight Mountain Power, and she was very helpful. But I don't remember the number. Tyson, do you happen to?
For changing them out?
Yeah.
I have it here, but it's up there because we ended up doing that 600 and Pleasant View Drive one as an upgrade in lieu of the being billed, and it had been knocked down.
Right. But so I guess what I'm getting to is you can choose to replace those with your own, or you can ask Rocky Mountain Power to change it. And then they charge you a fee, and then also your monthly light cost.
So if we did, for example, just to get, I'd like to see some numbers on this. If we bought our own pole, and I think those were like $600 a pole. I'm pulling numbers out of my memory, which is not very good, but the wooden pole was $600. The fixture was, X amount, and then the installation to drill a new hole and put it in right next to Rocky Mountain's pole, right? I mean, if we have that scenario,
Sure.
how much are we going to save in power costs with the LED versus the sodium vapor, whatever it is, the old style Cobra? I mean, is there money savings in that we could say that we could change all 177, or maybe it's only 50 of those lights versus spending $5,000 on a 21-foot metal pole with our nice.
You got to remember you're paying for that pole twice in 50 years. So that $5,000 represents two poles.
Okay.
In one location. It's the first pole, and it dies, and then you put in a whole new pole.
I think the other thing we've got to remember is go back to slide 1 or 2 on the previous.
Is that fixtures or poles that's replacing?
It's everything.
Okay.
So if you the cost savings was the 5,000 over the 50-year period per installation, right? And that's a replacement as well. But the initial cost for say I'm just going to go with a residential right now is the $5,800. But
that's with the metal pole, the new style, and all that.
That's the residential. The intersection is the 4,600.
Right, but if we do a wooden pole with that same Cobra fixture on the top, how much is something like that?
If you look on the column there to the left on her sheet, she's got $4,000. Now that's a high pressure sodium lamp, but the between the initial fixture cost versus LED and the overall savings, I would imagine you're about a wash on that technology. So switching it out, you're looking at about $4,000, $4,300 for Rocky Mountain Power to switch out their pole. So the savings per pole is about $1,800. It looks like to me. Am I reading that right, Dana, Emily?
Yes.
$1,800 that we would pay.
Yes, that would be $1,800 additional per pole over the 50 years.
And not to mention, we would have a standardized look for Pleasant View instead of a mix of some metal poles versus wood poles.
and
That-
ugly cobra heads.
That
And
goes
you
back
can-
to what I
you
was
can-
saying. The second, I believe the second slide that Emily presented that had the two goals on it. I don't know if you can get back to that, Dana, or not.
The streetlight pictures?
Yes,
Okay.
like the second slide that said, nope, it's clear back to the
PowerPoint, Mayor?
PowerPoint. Yes, your PowerPoint.
Oh, okay, let me go back to that.
Let's just review those goals real quick and see if we want to change the goals. Because I think that's what.
So that's it.
Okay.
The
go.
purpose?
Well, you can still do what Steve's talking about. If there was a place that you wanted to, we're still more than welcome to upgrade to the LED.
Right.
Mhm.
And
That's right.
I think maybe, Steve, what we could do is, as part of the analysis for the phasing replacement plan, maybe we look at doing something like that as a cost savings initially. To do that, what locations could we benefit from installing the LED Cobra head instead of the HPS light that's existing?
Mhm.
We need to do kind of an analysis of where the benefit would be.
See, and I just can't, I know that phasing and, budget, and it'd be nice just to be able to do it, but we're going to be doing this over the next 20 years probably,
Yep.
or more. And I just think every light in my house I've taken from, a filament bulb to now LED bulbs. And there's, they say you save so much money from the heat of those. There's got to be a tremendous savings just changing those on the poles that we've already got. And I know we're leasing them from Rocky Mountain Power. I understand all of that. But if we paid them a certain amount of money to change out those Cobra heads, I would like to see what the savings would be just on power. And I know that a lot of those, the sensors are bad. I've talked to Tyson. We have a sensor and the light goes on and off, on and off, on and off all night long with the car drives up and the lights come on and the light powers down and it's just a mess. And I would like to see that in addition to everything else you've done. Going forward, I think that's a great idea. Up on our Skyline Drive, these heads are going to be put in up there. I see, along wherever it makes sense to put that in. Absolutely. I have no problem with that. New subdivisions, done. That's what we
you're
do.
okay with the aesthetic goal. You would just like also to have more of a accelerated cost savings.
Like an interim plan.
That's how this whole thing came up, honestly. At least in my mind, we were going to save money for the city.
Yep.
We were going to get rid of the old style that's been around for 100 years, and Tyson talked about all the problems that they have, and then Rocky Mountain never coming out and fixing it, and all these different things, and then it morphed into what we're doing now. Which again, I have no problem with the aesthetic, the nice look, the uniformity of the city, but I can't. Out of those 177 that you've got on this right here, Dana, I don't know how many of those are, actual neighborhood streetlights that are on a pole. Can we say 150 of those or 100 of them, 125? I don't know.
I don't have a great guess, but
that's fine. So let's just say 150 of those 177 are throughout the city, and they're costing us X amount each month. You've got here, the one you've got highlighted. I can only see the 6942. That I can't see the numbers underneath that. I don't know how to.
It's 2314 per month. So
2314. So I'd like to know how much it is if we change that to. And we could just have Rocky Mountain Power continue to use it, but change it to a brighter, because LED are always brighter, I think, aren't they?
Not always. Depends on the fixture.
On the light, yes.
Okay, well,
it's a different type of light for sure.
It's a brighter light, I think. Most of them that I've looked at, it's a brighter light, and if it'll save us, half on power, then let's look at that over the next 5 years and see what that might be. And if we can save money over 5 years, I say we do wholesale change on all of those to LEDs or something, and then continue with what you've got here for the going forward stuff. That's the issue that I've had. Anyway, long story, I'll shut up. I won't say another word.
All right, so if I'm understanding it, we can go ahead with this part, identifying the style we want, approving the style we want, putting it in our public works standard, but we would like to, as part of the phasing approach, look at a phase that is a quick cost savings that Steve's proposing, where you come back and say, hey, this is what we can do to save money right away instead of over the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So as we identify each area, we could go in and say, well, this is what we need to do. We got these type of lights here. You know, we're going to do 10 poles. This is what we got. This is what we've identified. We can switch out 7 of them right now with, you know, something like Steve's proposing, and then, or whatever that phased approach is that we're going to put together next is that the committee is going to work on next. And so right now you're looking for, hey, these are what the committee is recommending for the standard for the city. And as part of the phasing and install plan, that last sentence there, adopt and implement phase replacement new install plan, which Steve would like to see, you know, what he's talked about. Am I understanding that correctly?
From my point of view, I mean, what does the rest of the council think?
So yeah, I think I like what you're saying, Mayor. I think that's the right thing to do. Let's approve the style and get that taken care of. But I like what Steve's saying as well. But I have concerns. I think if you just change the light fixtures on those existing poles, you're likely going to be easy 5-year return on your investment, and that's 5 years that we're going to miss out on other lighting. I don't think you're going to see a cost saving because the cost of the fixtures are so high.
Yeah, and you're still paying for maintenance of all the pole.
Decide where the cost savings is. The issue is whether or not we like the selections that they've made, and I'm like totally in favor of them. So I'll make a motion that we approve the streetlight selection as recommended by the Streetlight Committee.
I'll second that motion, but I just wanted to make a comment, if I may, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
I like what Steve is saying too, but the immediate cost savings, I think I'm along the lines with Dave of you spend that money to switch it out to only end up having to spend it again to switch the whole thing out. So
yeah, we'll have to go back with a plan to see.
Yeah. So
if it's feasible.
But have we seen those numbers though? That's the thing.
Right.
I've never seen those numbers. No one's ever brought that up to say, okay, this, you know, I mean, how much is a new fixture?
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll have to go back with all that information.
But I second Kevin's motion.
All we're doing today is just saying, hey, these are.
Can I just ask one more question before we vote? Tyson, any concerns from your vantage point as far as like maintaining, installing, changing out? You got any concerns that way at all?
No, the base and all that. I've talked to the only electrician I know of for those, and he said either one sort of clarified what Carson always said, that either one's got their issues and pros and cons, and I like the look of them, and I think they're a long time coming. So, and not having multiple types will be better than anything they would bring.
Okay, thank you.
And we talked a lot about different pole styles. I personally like a concrete direct burial pole, but that was pretty quickly vetoed by everybody else because they're smarter than me. And we went with the pole that we did because it's the most efficient, it's the easiest to install. The maintenance on it is pretty straightforward. And yeah, those were the main selling points that we were going for. Plus, it's the prettiest, I think, by far. So I like the motion and I like where it's headed. Carson, if we, going forward with this, if we had questions or concerns about replacing some of these existing Rocky Mountain Power poles and or fixtures, could we work with you on that?
Oh yeah, You guys are always welcome to call me and talk to me about whatever it is, whether you're getting stuff from me or from Rocky Mountain Power. I'm here to help you guys any way I can and shed light on cost savings, rebates.
No pun intended.
Okay. Dana,
I have another question.
Dana,
Yes.
would you unshare your screen so we can?
Oh, yes, sorry. I was just gonna, if I may, Councilman Arrington, that part of this process is to go out for RFP for an operation and maintenance contractor. So basically, the streetlights on an on-call and as-needed basis. And that's been worked into the cost analysis.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And that's something I will be working with whoever that's selected and the city, so we can all get together and they'll know the product in and out, and I'll be on hand basically whenever they call me and they run into something that they're not sure what's going on in questions. I can run up and help them out and do whatever they need to do. So I'm here for you guys and the installing contractors whenever need be.
Okay. So I have a motion by Councilmember Bailey. I don't remember who seconded it. Sarah, Councilmember Yuri seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I had one comment. I noticed and this is something that can be done later, but there's power outlets in those poles that are accessible and is that on every pole or is that just the corridor poles or? Curious.
Every pole?
No.
This corridor poles.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so those just for later event use and things like that, they're available for that.
Yes.
And I guess the cost analysis ought to cover, if we need to increase the lines through there and all the installation of those. I mean, I don't think does that include that or no?
That includes the receptacle, yes.
Well, not just the receptacle, but it is additional power usage or no? I guess it's less for the light itself, but okay.
Yeah.
Just curious. I didn't see any of that.
So much less power draw for the LEDs. So. Okay.
Right, but if we're putting it along the corridor, we may want event use of that power, and
that's why those will be there.
Yeah. We ought to consider that so that we can use it in a different situation. So
very much agreed.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that everybody? Motion carries unanimous. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Carson. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Emily. Item 5, discussion and possible action to approve the revised 2020 street maintenance interlocal agreements with Harrisville for a joint street maintenance project and rescind the prior Tri-City agreement. Dana.
Yes. So we had everybody, all the cities, it was Pleasant View, North Ogden, and Harrisville. We're all going to go in on one street maintenance project, very similar to what we did last year with North Ogden, but Harrisville wanted in this year. So we thought, hey, the more the merrier, right? All the cities were in an agreement. We modified the agreement to make, and this is the previous one that you approved, lead agency, and then Harrisville and Pleasant View kind of joined in. Well, North Ogden decided after you approved the agreement that they are going to hold off on their street maintenance project until next spring. They have concerns over budgeting issues. So they have backed out of the agreement. So what we did is modify the agreement to make Pleasant View the lead agency and Harrisville the secondary. And
as it should be.
And that's all this is. So it's a very similar to like last year's agreement, except for Pleasant View is the lead agency.
Those cities that, I mean, this is one time where maybe Pleasant View is benefiting from not having as much dependency on sales tax as all of some of the other cities. Obviously, we're getting hurt, but not to the degree that some of the other cities whose budget depends on lots and lots of sales tax. So, every city's had to do what they need to do. So this is similar to like Dana said, the previous. It's just between us and Harrisville.
Does that
Mayor?
lessen our impact of our good deal? I mean, North Ogden, had a bigger slice of that last time.
Right. I mean, it to some extent there, there's probably a little bit more cost savings the larger the project. But even just doing this as a two-party project, we have really good interest in it. I've actually had a couple of contractors already contact me and they're like, well, we want to get both, because we bid it out as a sectional bid so that if for some reason Harrisville's portion comes in considerably different than Pleasant View's or between two contractors, we can award it to where contractors. And that's how we do street maintenance no matter what the city. So that it's a little more complex with two cities and different schedules, but the way we're bidding it out, you're going to get the best price. And I know contractors want the entire project.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement between Harrisville and Pleasant View City.
That was a motion, yes.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Arrington, second by Bailey. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
This is a resolution.
Oh, there's the resolution.
Yeah. I think it was ED the next number.
All right, E is the next number, so it's 2020 E.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's resolution 2020 E. There'll be a roll call vote. Okay. Ann,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and Steve,
Yes.
is that a yes?
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
all righty. Thank you. Next item on the agenda. Item 6, discussion of possible action to amend change order 1. Amendment 1 to the city shop replacement building design build contract with EK Bailey. Bill, are you presenting?
Brent is on the line. He's currently muted, it looks like. So Brent, if you can hear us, take off your mute and we'd like to hear.
Good, helping us out with this one.
I was just gonna, if I can, just do a quick introduction.
Okay.
The city's been in negotiations, with the design build process with EK Bailey for several months now, and I think this was a bit of a miscommunication just between the design team and the city. They've been providing pricing on the design as we advanced it. And we were trying to get this, we knew that EK Bailey wanted to get under construction soon. So we took it upon ourselves to take change order 1 to council, which is what you saw. And unfortunately, we kind of jumped the gun, and the design build team did not apparently have final pricing. Those were when we sat in the committee meetings, those were estimated pricings. So this amendment is to finalize that, and we just wanted to apologize, I guess, the staff for jumping the gun, but it was with good intentions.
Once again, I'd like to thank Steve and Sarah for, I think this has been a really educational process to be able to involve a couple of members of the council in these projects directly, as opposed to just wait until the very end. So this design build with involvement up front, I think has proved to be very beneficial for the city, and it's been, like I said, kind of educational to me to see how this has worked. Brent, do you have anything to add, or?
No, I mean, I think the miscommunication is that as we budgeted along the way from our end, they was asking for a lot of options, the city was, and we tried to budget each one of those options so they could decide whether to incorporate them in the final design.
Mm-hmm.
Final design was not complete when that came to the council last time. So at the end of the day, I feel pretty good that we're as close as we are. I think you guys are getting an awesome building.
For sure.
Yeah, the staff and the council's done and your company's done a great job in helping us to get there. Like I said, this design build is one of the first times we've used it, I believe, here at the city, and it has worked out really well, especially, like I said, involving a couple members of the council to help. Very beneficial for the city staff and everybody to just come together. Been a lot of meetings. Some I've made, some I haven't made, but appreciate everybody's involvement in this.
I think that came out of the process was that the city was able to explore a lot of options. They was able to get most of the things that they could afford. I guess all the things they could afford and most of it they wanted. And I think the building, it turned in from just a open storage facility to a very usable thing for a lot of departments out there in the shop area. So,
Hey, can you just explain on the bid? I just don't understand what the GL insurance is or the fee at the bottom. Can you just explain those to me at the 0.9% and 5%?
the fee is our contractor's fee, our profit.
Okay.
And what's the other question?
It's called GL insurance.
That's general liability.
Yeah, it's general liability, but it's also builder's risk and a few things, I think, too. I haven't got the breakdown in front of me.
So. I guess GL probably stands for general liability would be my guess.
I think that's what it is.
So Brent, this represents the no kidding can do. This is our final, you've got quotes from all your subs and this is it.
Yep. Unless you guys add scope, that's it.
Unless we change it.
Okay. And I'd make a motion that we accept, amend the change order number 1 for the city shop replacement building.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Yuri. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
When are you going to start, Brent?
I already started.
We have to submit to the state, and it's 10 working days before we can do the demolition. So,
okay, great.
Can I be on the tractor and push the first wall in?
You can take it home with you.
His general liability would go up.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, bada bing, bada boom. Yeah.
Everybody come sign a brick though before we push it down.
Okay.
Can I sledgehammer something then before?
There you go.
Right.
Oh, I'm actually doing it after city council. Sorry.
Oh, all right. I'll see you up there, Tyson.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Brent, for all your work on that. Thank your crew and your staff. They've done an awesome job helping us kind of muddle through that. We kind of knew what we wanted, but not really. So a lot of good guidance and ideas come from everybody. So appreciate that. Okay, item 7, public hearing, discussion, possible action to consider a rezone from A2 agriculture to RE15 residential located at approximately the east side of Highway 89, south of Capstone Way. It's parcel number 19-014-0055, and parcel number 19-014-0031, and 19-014-0054. The requesters Jeff Bolingbrook. Jill, wait, first let's enter into a public hearing, should we? I'd entertain a motion to go into a public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Hey, motion by Gibson, second by Arrington to enter a public hearing. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're in a public hearing. Jill.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of see where it's at. Okay. Come on. So Jeff's project is located Exit out of that. Wrong one. There we go. Jeff's is located just right off of 89. If you can see, here's where Capstone is, and then 1710. So the parcels that he's wanting to rezone is this parcel, this bigger one, and this top one. It's currently owned by Bonus LLC. It's currently in A2, which is agricultural. And the general plan shows 2 to 3 units per acre, which would be the equivalent to an RE20, which is half acre, or RE15, which is third acre. And he's requesting RE15, and it does fit the general plan. So this is kind of what the concept drawing, not the concept drawing, his first rough draft drawing, we'll put it that way, for the parcels. He was thinking of possibly getting this next parcel, but he has not. So this is the drawing of the parcels that he's inquiring for the rezone.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, was access to Highway 89.
So off his drawings, it's coming off of a side road, which with further information, it is actually owned by a resident that is right up here. But that would be something he would have to look at and talk with UDOT, and possibly, I mean, he's got this whole side right here that he could easily connect to 89, but that's something that he would have to get a permit with UDOT.
I understand that. I was just curious.
Jill, that side road is actually, that's a driveway. It's not even a road, it's a dirt road.
It's a driveway, and the owners actually live right over here.
So can you connect off of somebody's driveway?
It's actually not a driveway. There's an easement. There's an easement that goes from I-89 all the way up to Pleasant View Drive. You can kind of see that road going all the way up. There's an easement all the way up through that.
If you
That's
actually
for the
look
sewer
on the
main that-
site, it is owned. It's not an easement. It's owned. It's property owned by the Hemmelwrights.
Well, I had my title company and the engineer both say that there's an easement through that. So, but the Hemmelwrights do.
Pleasant View has a sewer main easement that runs down that driveway that gets the sewer off Pleasant View Drive down to 89, and then it heads south.
Okay, I feel like asking my question hijacked the discussion.
Sorry.
Hijacked into the next phase, which is up for him to approve. This is just the rezone. So those are all problems he'll have to work out in order to take advantage of the rezone. So sorry about that. Jill, anything else?
No, but that's something that we would look at and make sure everything's done accurately when it does come through as for a subdivision. But right now it's just a rezone.
Correct. Like I said, I feel bad. I kind of hijacked the whole thing. So, all righty. It looks like the Planning Commission recommended approval. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions for Jill? Any questions for Jeff? Anybody else?
I say we're glad of a public meeting to ask the questions.
Okay. Any public wish to address it?
I have been monitoring the comments on the YouTube. There are 10 people watching now. Obviously, I'm one of those.
Yeah.
But there was up to 12 at one point that's dropped down to 10. No one has written any comments so far.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Bill, second by Jerry, close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Any questions for either Jeff or Jill or Bill or anybody? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
You know, this is actually an ordinance, so we'll need to have the wording with the legal description. I didn't even think about that. But a rezone is by ordinance. And I didn't put in an ordinance in there.
What's the ordinance number?
We're gonna have the same problem the next time.
Because it has to be in writing. Anytime you see an ordinance, it has to be in writing. We can table it and bring it back on the 26th for the ordinance if we want to. But we've held a public hearing.
Can we approve it and then just take care of the paperwork later? We'll just.
Oh.
Or
Well, he can still keep
just
going on
review
the
it.
subdivision.
Does it have to be already on paper in order to approve it?
Yeah, ordinances you're supposed to have it.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even think about that.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we table until we get the ordinance number. Till next
I'll
week.
second that motion.
Okay, motion to table until we get the rest of the paperwork. All in favor, say aye.
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 Jeff, everybody thinks it's a good idea though, I think, so you should be all right. You got to get a good in and out of there though. That is going to be a problem.
All righty, that brings us to the next one, which is gonna be the same, but we'll have the public hearing and the discussion now. All right, item 8 is public hearing discussion possible to consider rezone from A2 agriculture to RE15 residential.
I'll make a motion to go into a public hearing.
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry.
Located at 3479 North 1000 West, parcel 17-062-0046.
Now I'll make a motion to go
All
into
right.
public hearing.
Great.
Now I'll make the second.
All right, motion by Bailey, second by Arrington. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed from public hearing? Requester is Alicia Spencer, presenter Jill. Jill, still there? Jill, there you are.
I'm muted, sorry. Okay, so the Singleton resident or the Singleton lot that we noticed for is right off of 1000. If you recognize, this is Gary Stimpson's property that we did a rezone last time. So now they've acquired the Singleton resident property, which is just behind. It's currently A2. The applicant is RW Custom Homes. Leisha is running that for us. The general plan shows for 2 to 3 units per acre, which again means is equivalent to an RE20 or RE15. This is their concept drawing. It's just a draft. They have actually started putting in for a concept drawing, and it looks different. It looks a little bit easier to maneuver in and out, and they have actually put a stub up here. So that was one of the things that I talked to Leisha about, and that it was a big thing with the other rezone to make sure we had 3 stub outs so we don't landlock anybody going forward.
Okay.
I have a question. Is there a reason why, I mean, this concept, this rough draft concept shows lots that are covering the area that of the Singletons that's not in the rezone.
It's right.
Yeah, if you go back to the rezone, yeah, that piece where you're, oh yeah.
Down here?
No, above
to the left.
Up right there. Those 2 parcels. There's no.
It's because I have a shaky hand when I try and outline it. It's really just the property line.
No, there's another parcel that's that 3479 that's owned by the Singletons, and that is included. I mean, when you look at the concept drawing of the subdivision, it includes that property. I'm curious why it's not in the rezone.
So what happened is we didn't notice for the second, and after clarification on last Friday, it was notified to me on Friday that they've actually acquired both Singleton properties. and to make sure that we do this correctly with the state and noticing and getting everything done correctly. That we're doing it for this one property tonight, and we're going through the same process for this other one to make sure we do it correctly with the state and noticing and the neighbors and everything. But we're not stopping them from being able to start their concept drawings and going forward there.
So that one is acquired by RW Custom Homes and is going to be coming for us later.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Well, we got to do it right. Any further comments or comments from the public on this? Bill? Any comments from the public? You're muted.
Okay, I'm muted. No additional comments. We're down to 9 people watching now, so someone got tired of watching.
Okay.
I'm just boring.
This is exciting stuff.
I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Arrington, second by Yuri, close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any questions for Jill or Bill or Alicia?
So just like the property before, does this need to be an ordinance, just like we talked about?
It does. I am working that language up. So if you table that, I'll try to have these done before the end of the meeting, and we can come back and do a vote on them.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to table this.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Arrington, second by Bailey to table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Hopefully they'll get those ordinances in there just as fingers are flying. It'd be really impressive to see. We probably ought to train the camera just on his keyboard. We'll move on to item 9 while we're waiting for those. Approval of an interlocal cooperation agreement between Weaver County and Pleasant View City for recreation, arts, museum, and parks, known as the ramp funding, the Bonneville Shoreline Trailhead access, and parking project in the amount of $23,432.67. Tyson.
We should have the agreement. It's just covering the rules and stipulations to receive that funding for the trailhead located at the top of Cottonwood, 4575 North trailhead access. It started back in 2010 to 15. They've dealt with it and got the trailhead broke through. We moved the fence, and this would be to bring that access road that used to be a utilities maintenance road at 9 feet up to something that's usable and correct multiple problems for residents, employees, and then all the people trying to use it. Pretty excited about getting it there.
Thank you for your good work on this to get that grant. That should
Thank
really
you.
do that, and it's nice to be able to take advantage of some rent money for that purpose. So,
what is our share going to be? I mean, is it going to be a matching fund or something, or what do we have to do?
So we have a in-kind portion of $7,323. It's man hours, some road base, all of which we normally bring up to try to maintain that from washout. Ramps portion is mostly covering the asphalt that would hopefully eliminate most of that for the future. Blocking off the parking, because that'll be expanded to cover the heavier than anticipated use. So they're not parking in the dry weeds, fire hazards, and just cleaning the site up and making it a place to go.
How
but
much
most of our part is
in kind.
I just wonder, is that somewhere in there? Did I miss that? The 7,000? I don't see it.
No, I guess I'd screen share. I don't.
It's okay. Just 7,000 is our.
So there's a packet that goes over it. It's in kind is clear and grub the roadway, widening, grading for road widening and parking lot, untreated base course, concrete blocks to delineate, and the ramp sign.
Is that, Tyson, is that 23,000 or 24,000? Is that going to take care of it? I just don't want to be stuck with the lemon again, where we get into something and we all of a sudden we're 50,000 to do the project. Is that, you feel pretty comfortable that that's going to do it?
Yes, sir.
And is that going to, by putting that extra parking and stuff up there, is that going to affect access to the well?
No, it should make it better. There's quite regularly, as for maintenance, you're going up and it's that 9-foot dirt road, and yeah, you're pulling off into the weeds. So a lot of people, especially in winter, you end up backing halfway to the site. You end up backing back down to Cottonwood because somebody's stuck coming down, and one of you has to give, basically. So
how far is that asphalt? Is that asphalt going to go all the way down to the road as you come west?
Yeah, so we're actually going to start at the Cottonwood intersection where that dirt road starts, and it's that blind corner and sort of a dugout. It'll start there, and we'll take it up into the parking lot.
Okay.
Hey Tyson, is there a drawing or concept drawing or engineering drawing already done for this? We can see the layout and
there is.
I know the area. I know
I
the parking lot. I'm just curious if we.
Yes, we do have one. I should have I should have submitted it with the letters from North Ogden, Harrisville, the Bonneville, or they're now the Weber. No, they changed their name. The Pathways Group gave us a recommendation letter. So we do have all that. I should have attached it to the packet. I can't pull it up on my phone, and because it's not in there, or I would screen share. Oh, thank you.
It's so just so that you know, so what this is we kept having problems with this area. And they came in, put the trailhead in and the parking up there, and we kind of been sharing our access road, and it just keeps washing away and keep having problems. So when we talked about it 6 months ago, we were talking about possible ramp projects. Tyson suggested, instead of just keep dumping, like he says, this is maintenance we'd already do anyway, our matching part of it is to take and see if we could get some permanent fixes so that we don't have to keep putting $4,000 or $5,000 every year into maintaining our access road, which doubles as the trail access road. So it was a great suggestion. And again, our suggestion was, hey, reach out to the trails people, see if we can get their support and their blessing to do this project, and that would go a long way in helping us hopefully obtain the ramp grant. And Tyson did most of the footwork on this, and Dana helped with some of the engineering parts of it, and appreciate that. But it's kind of given us more, is it the end all? It depends how much that trail gets used and what happens, but it's gonna hopefully keep us from dumping $4,000 or $5,000 every year and redoing that road every single year. When it's shared, they haven't been contributing any of the expense to maintain it, and so it'll give us a little more of a permanent solution. So it's not like a brand new thing. It's just a fix it up thing to make it done right, which maybe should have been done when they originally put that trailhead in. Is that a fair statement, Tyson?
I guess that was my only concern. I just wanted, is it adequate? Are we doing enough there? I mean, it sounds to me like we can add to it. You can increase the parking lot size, things like that later at a later date.
I have an idea for a beautiful mountainside park, but I don't think we're ready for that yet.
Mayor, I'll make a motion. I mean, we have really benefited from the ramp grants over the years. I think we've got our fair share. I don't want to say that publicly. I guess I already did, but we've really had some good money and good projects. I think this will be another good one. So I'd like to make a motion. We approve this interlocal agreement between Weber County and Pleasant View Rec, as stated in item number 9, for the $23,432.67.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion by Gibson, second by Marriott. Yeah, I would just like to echo that. You know, that thanks to Weber County for establishing the ramp funding, the ramp program. All the cities in the county have really benefited from this the ramp funding, and the, you know, it costs, I can't remember what, I think it's 0.5% goes to it, but it's a great thing, and there's really year after year a lot of things being done for all the communities, and we've had our share of the pie, and thanks to staff for going after these grants. Very important. All right, a call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Quick question, Mayor. Do we publish maps of all the trails and stuff that connect with North Ogden? Is it published on the website, or is there something that the residents can come into the office and get? Because I've had people inquire about that to me. Is there all of our trails and things like that?
The trails.
I can speak to that, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
We don't have a map here that we publish of trails in the city. Our trails are actually, I think, 3. The one along the power line easement, the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, the Canal Trail that's just above Weaver High, and then Pleasant View Drive Trail. Those are the 3 main trails. There are other bike routes and things around the city, but those are the main 3 trails. If people ask questions about where to get a trails map, though, I would send them to Weber Pathways, which is now something like the Northern Utah Trail Alliance or something like that.
Do they show our trails within Pleasant View also?
They do.
Okay.
So I actually have them tacked to my wall right there. And they do show the 3 trails in and around, both in through Pleasant View and around the rest of the county. So
great.
they're pretty cool.
Thank you for that information.
You bet.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item 10, the budget workshop. Laurie.
You know, your packets, you have the tentative budget. We can make changes to it, and however you change it tonight, I will publish it and let the public start looking at it. I really don't have any changes except for just that shop change. We probably have to increase that budget by about 20,000 right now with that change we just did. But that's the only other change I know of, unless you guys want to discuss anything or change anything to it.
One thing we probably ought to talk a little bit more about is the keeping the tax rate the same, which would be a truth in taxation hearing. We did notify the county that we're interested. We still want to go forward with that concept?
Yes.
I think we should.
Okay.
I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Alrighty. Again, we kind of gone over this a couple times. Anything that we need to change before we now for the new council members, and I don't know, Kevin's been through it before on the council, but so you pass a tentative budget. This is what we publish out to the residents. They can come in and look and see what we have. We have the ability to change it before we do a final. We will conduct a public hearing prior to passing the final budget. We're going to pass a tentative budget, then we will do we'll schedule, next item on the agenda is scheduling the public hearing for that. Then the way this works, if we're going to do a proposed tax increase or propose keep it the same truth and taxation hearing, what we will pass in June will be a working budget. The working budget is not the final budget. The final budget will be passed after we hold the truth and taxation hearing. that correct, Laurie? That's my
Mhm.
understanding. So there's a little different process if you're gonna do a truth and taxation hearing than the normal. Normally, we do a tentative budget, have a public hearing, pass a final budget. But we do have to have a working budget for July 1st until we hold the truth and taxation, which will probably be sometime in July or August. Yeah. Does that make sense? Questions on the process?
Yeah, I appreciate you going through that. Yeah, this is all new to me, but it's good process. I have, are we covering enough in our reserve? I mean, I haven't really looked at that well, but I'm just kind of concerned about going forward here. Are we in a situation where we can weather this year and the coming years by having enough reserve? So maybe that truth and taxation, by maintaining that tax rate, will help that, I guess. But
yeah, that, and when we get the final numbers in for the end of June, when we start to get the final and see what kind of what money was not spent, typically there's a couple $100,000 that's not spent, and we're probably in that same general ballpark this year, and that will give us a truer idea, especially as we approach the truth and taxation, of what that fund balance is. I agree, and we talked a little bit about setting, should we be closer to? I'd like to see us closer to trying to stay around 15%. 25 is boy, that would be really nice, but that's pretty hard to do. In really good years, we can probably get there. I don't want to increase taxes just to increase taxes so we can have a big rainy day fund. However, it is raining, it's pouring. And so I have the same concern as to say, hey, how's this all going to shake out? How long is this all going to last? When we're going to be back on track? And I'm nervous. Again, Laurie changed your projection to a 20% shortfall, I believe, on sales tax. Is that right, Laurie?
Yeah, we reduced it a little bit more, and we're still.
Yeah, so it's a wait and see. Again, we're not as affected. We are affected, but there are some cities that have a large portion of their whole general fund is funded by sales tax, and because they get a lot of sales tax. I understand that, but that's a two-edged sword. In the good years, it's great. In the bad years, it's bad. So we do get a lot of unsecured personal property that a lot of cities don't get. Those are industrial type things, like the Brill or CSM, formerly known as the Brill plant, JD machines, all those industrial type things that have millions of dollars worth of equipment. They pay unsecured personal property, and our unsecured personal property is probably 10 times what North Ogden, for instance, is, even though they're double. But their sales tax is probably 10 times what our sales tax is. So it's an interesting process. All right.
Sorry, can I interject on this? When we're talking about the budget, we were going to talk about like the recycling fees and stuff like that. Is now the time we want to do that? What did we decide with that?
Have we closed the survey go? We can talk a little bit about some of the figures we've been getting back in from our survey.
I can give you an update right now if you'd like. It's a good time.
Sure.
I can't share my screen, so I'll just read it to you. 1 second. So we have had a total of, it looks like, about 600 responses. Again, similar to what I emailed out about a week ago, the numbers between very satisfied, which is about 26%, and satisfied, which is around 43%. You're looking right around, I don't know what my math is there, 30, 40, so about 75% of the population is very, either satisfied or very satisfied with how things are. Of the respondents that responded to the question, on whether they'd be willing to. The overwhelming response, 82% said they would be, yes, they would be willing to pay the increase. And then the other questions were just more for informational purposes to get the word out about what should and shouldn't be put in there. Had a lot of responses about just text responses, and I'll put all these together and send them out to you. You know, there were some questions. One guy even gave his number, but he wants a call back. Some questions didn't give a response mechanism, so they'll just have to go unanswered, I guess. You know, there were about a third of the responses. We had 274 written responses in that last little question and comment area. About a third of them would said something about a green waste program, which was not what we were asking about. There were some that would talk about, you know, no, I don't have any comments, or their comments were just like, oh, I thought you could put shredded paper in, you know, those kinds of things. And yeah, so, but then the other ones had some pretty good suggestions about how we can either improve, or they wanted to go to monthly or I'm sorry, weekly service rather than bi-weekly and or bi-monthly. And yeah, so that's how that went out. And I'll put all this together for you tomorrow, and you can have a look at it.
Okay, I think we're going to need to decide when we approve the final budget for sure.
And Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Tyson.
on a better note, the rate did drop to 59.06 a ton. So on May 1st.
That's good. Yeah, he told me it'd be dropping when I talked to him. I took I'll believe it when I see it approach. I learned that from Steve. So, yeah, taught me something. But it did drop. Steve's brother-in-law, I've been working with a little bit on this. He's the mayor of Plain City, and so thanks to him, John Beasley.
Is he really getting that lower fee? I mean,
I don't know. He says he is. He entered into a long-term contract with them before this all happened. So you know, if he did, kudos. They wouldn't entertain that with any of the other cities. Other cities have tried. I talked to John about them, and so I don't know why they won't with any of the other cities, and they wouldn't with us. But he did tell me the prices would be going down because the market is picking up. I found that to be interesting, and again, I really did take we talked a little bit about it, and it's like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. So it's nice that it really did go down. And I guess based on those new fees, that 75% probably would cover it. We were looking at about $1.25 if we were going to go that full $84. So 59. What's the normal dumping fee? It's 50. What's the county charging? 49. Larry's looking real quick.
It's like 35, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 40 something. It went up.
It went up to the 40.49.
40.49. Okay. All right. So that will be a decision we'll need to make as part of the final budget. We'll be thinking about that. And let's try to get that wrapped up. Maybe when we send the survey wrapped up with the results. So when we send out the agenda for that meeting, we'll have it that information. Does that sound fair, Bill?
Yeah, I can get a preliminary report ready for you tomorrow, like I said, and then I'll have everything buttoned down. When was that meeting again?
We haven't said it yet.
Oh, so for that meeting, yes.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt this tentative budget for the 2020-2021 fiscal year as presented today.
All righty.
With that change to the shop.
With that change to the shop. And how much was that? 10,000, you say?
Right in there.
20. I'll
20?
second that motion with the change to the shop for the 20,000.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries then. Okay. Now, we can either, let's see. Let's set the public hearings and we'll come back to this. So item 12 is set public hearings to consider amending the 2019-20 fiscal year budget and adopting the 2021 fiscal year budgets for the new council members. Typically, toward the end of the year, we have to open up the current year budget to make sure our revenue, adjust revenue and expenditures and move things around into the right categories so the auditors don't get mad at us. So that happens pretty much every year at this time. And then, of course, you have to have a public hearing to do that. And then we have to have a public hearing to actually adopt the final budget. This year will be the fiscal year budget, will be a working budget as opposed to the final budget, which we'll do after our truth and taxation hearing. So we need to set those dates. Laurie, what do you recommend?
I recommend June 9th as the public hearing. And hopefully by then we'll have Weber County's property tax numbers and we'll have some better numbers on sales tax and everything. We have till the end of June to adopt both of them, or, yeah.
Okay, June 9th?
June 9th.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we set the public hearing to consider the budget at June 9th.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
A motion by Gibson, second by Bailey to set June 9th for those dates. Do we have to also,
Do we only have to have one, or do we have to have set more public
we
hearings?
advertise as two separate ones.
Okay.
One for the fiscal year 1920 and one for the 2021.
Gotcha.
Those will be in the same meeting.
Same meeting, yeah.
Same night.
Same night.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, the question I was going to ask is, do we need to set the date for truth and taxation?
Not
Or
yet.
can we- Not yet, okay.
No. Because he's going to get with all the other cities to make sure we know.
Well,
we don't-
typically they want us to notify them, so we want to be kind of first on the list. Because the
Okay.
others can't schedule theirs at the same time as us.
Yeah, he knows about it, that Roger,
So if we was to pick a date and send it to him
oh,
and say,
okay.
this is when we're
We
shooting for.
want it.
Yeah. So August 11th?
11th or 25th.
I'd say
August
August 11th. We'll shoot for August 11th. We'll send that out to the county. If somebody's already scheduled that, that could be a problem for us. And we'd have to schedule another time. But
That wouldn't go into effect until November though, right?
that what?
That wouldn't go into effect until November, right, for the next year? Because, or would this go be backdated?
It would be for this year.
Okay.
So
fiscal works a little different than calendar because
Is it July? Or when does the new fiscal year start?
ours July 1st.
July
So it's
1st.
really interesting. We approve a working budget in June because of the timing. We don't approve it till truth and taxation hearing till in August. And then we retro the working budget into the final budget effective July 1st. So it's weird timing, but that's the way fiscal calendars work as opposed to calendar. It
So
works.
do you need a motion then to set the working?
No, I don't think so.
Nope, okay.
We'll contact the county and tell them that's our date we wish and see if we can have
Then
it.
we'll put public hearings out.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we gotta do all the advertising and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's go back if we can and untable. We do have the ordinances of it now.
We show them what they look like, so they are published.
Sure. We'll start with that one, which is the 2020-03.
I know you probably can't even read that.
Yeah, we can.
Closer.
That is the one for
That Jeff Bolingbroke's.
One is,
Yeah, the 03 is the Bolingbroke one.
2020-03.
little descriptions here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for the 3 parcels. So this is Bolingbrook.
So why don't we go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to bring that off the table and back in before us.
I'll make that.
Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Arrington. to untable that or have whatever the correct terminology
Yeah,
is?
untable.
Bring it back before us. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have before us ordinance number 2020-03, which is an ordinance, Pleasant View City Council for amendment of the zoning map of the city with those parcels, which is 19-014-0055, 19-014-0031, and 19-014-0054. I'd entertain a motion to approve that ordinance.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Yuri, second by Bailey. Roll call vote. Harrington,
Yes.
Merritt,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Yuri.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. I now entertain a motion to untable or bring back before the council the discussion and possible action to approve an ordinance number 2020-04 to rezone from A2 to RD15, parcel number 17-062-0046.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Arrington, second by Marriott. So that's back before us now. That's ordinance number 2020-04. Entertain a motion to approve that.
Do you want to see it?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, better see it first.
A lot of where
Out
else,
closer.
but
Same, pretty much
same
where else.
thing, and then we got the legal, your signatures
Legal descriptions.
and legal descriptions. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks for putting that together so we can
Yeah,
get it.
thanks for being patient.
Appreciate it.
I'll make that motion that we approve the ordinance as stated.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Arrington, second by Bailey to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, that is a roll call. Sorry about that. Arrington,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Yuri,
Yes.
Marriott,
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Bill, for whipping that out so quick. So if Jill's still here, if you would let Jeff and Alicia know that those ordinances were approved today. Appreciate that. Tomorrow you can do that.
I will. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, item 13 is discussion possible action to approve the salary of the Justice Court judges for the fiscal year 2021. I lost it. Was in here, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe right before the.
Oh, there it is.
Here, you want to see mine?
Oh, it is. All right, so this is set by the Administrative Office of the Courts in the state of Utah, and we do this every year. It's a formality. We have to do certain things like recertify, read, all kinds of stuff. So the current is $20,643.07. It'll go to $21,272.63 for next year. Questions? Have you? I don't know. This all should have been in your packet.
Yeah,
It's a cool
Yeah.
thing to do now.
Were you watching us, Leonard? We were.
Yeah. Yeah, but Kevin physically smacked me with it, so I lost mine, so it's in the pile of paper, I'm sure. All right, questions? You know, I would just like to say Judge Lambert does a fantastic job for us. He's very experienced. He's probably one of the most experienced justice court judges in the state of Utah.
He's
He
very.
does quite a few different courts. He's been doing it for many, many years. I had the distinct pleasure of being a police officer 40 years ago with him in North Ogden City. And he's a great guy, but he's just he really knows the law, and he does a fantastic job for Pleasant View City. So I can't speak highly enough of him.
So is this pretty standard procedure to, I mean, just.
Every justice court gets
Okay.
Is there a typical merit increase every year that's based on comparisons, or I mean, how does that work?
He gets paid whatever our average is going to be. So this year our average is 3.05%. So that's the raise we figured in.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the justice court salary at 21,272.63.
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Bailey, second by Yuri. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item 14, discussion and possible action on upcoming city events in light of COVID-19. All right, most all the communities have now canceled their community celebrations. There's a couple in late August that are still hoping. County Fair has pretty much been canceled except for going to try to do a couple events. One would be the livestock, the junior livestock program, where the kids bring in their lambs and their steers and their pigs and stuff, and companies or individuals bid on them to help the kids with basically scholarship money. It's a great program. They're going to try to do that under modified rules and that. I know North Ogden canceled theirs. They had this discussion last week. They ended up canceling things lock, stock, and barrel and decided they weren't going to try to piece anything together. They were going to try to do fireworks. They were worried about how do we enforce the rules. You know, if we shoot off fireworks, people are going to try to gather at parks, or they're going to gather together at homes, or they're going to, you know, they're going to break the rules, and they figured there was no real way to enforce that. Most of the communities canceled. I asked them to put together, and they are doing that. My meeting last Friday with the county commissioners and the other mayors, I asked them to please notify the county, because the county's keeping a nice spreadsheet about parks and galleries and pickleball courts and golf courses and you name it. I asked them to add fireworks. They do have community celebrations on there already. Most were canceled or in the process of canceling. But fireworks was, I asked them to please let the county commissioners know from our next meeting, which will probably be this Friday. Are you doing fireworks? And if so, what day are you doing the fireworks? There's been talk about moving them to all July 4th, which in itself sounds good, but could be problematic for fire departments that have to you know, be there. So I asked if they could please kind of let us know so we can. So that's one decision. If we decide we want to do fireworks, I need to let them know what day that would be. Is it June 27th? Is it, we want to move it? Is it, are we canceling it? Or are we going to go ahead with it? And then some of the other events, which there's been certainly some suggestions put out there. I don't know where we want to start. I'm going to turn it over to Steve because it's his area. Steve.
Well, and I've talked to Sarah and Ann a little bit ahead of time here, but I talked to Ryan last night, Ryan Barker, about keeping the fireworks and, you know, what could he do for us and what would he want to do. And I definitely think we should call it today versus waiting till the 26th. The car show was struggling on what to do, and they have a lot invested in that. So I actually told them today to go ahead and cancel that, and they were a little bit relieved. I think the salmon bake, there's I don't think any way we can really do it. And even if we did, I don't want to have to do it for 200 or 300 people that would show up. And I think that's a huge thing. I wanted to change the fireworks to the 4th of July because North Ogden was going to cancel theirs, but they have since, I think Ryan's going to talk to the council tonight about seeing if they want to put the 4th of July fireworks back on the table. Sarah has talked to the Steve Schreiber, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if North Ogden cancels, we could do North Ogden, or we could do the 4th of July fireworks. If they don't, then they don't have room or time to be able to do it. So we would be forced to do it on Founder's Day. Now let me just address my thoughts again on what you said, Mayor, about keeping people safe or whatever. I think the field is a no-brainer. That's going to be closed because that's just, there's thousands of people that go up there and we can't control that at all. But I say we have Barker Park, and I think you should put something in the newsletter or in the Pleasant View Connection. That's something to the fact that we haven't let this beat us. We do want to come together in a fireworks or in a celebration thing, but we would just request that everybody try their best to stay distant. I don't know if you've been up to the Weber State Pops concert. It's blanket to blanket. You can't find a spot.
Yeah.
And I don't want to turn into something like that. But I think I've gone every year. I go up when I don't go up to the field. I go there in the kind of by the softball place there, just by the thing, and there's plenty of room there every year to have that. And I think most people can watch the fireworks from their house in Pleasant View. So I would propose that we cancel the events with the exception of the fireworks. And if in the next day or two, or if North Ogden chooses not to do the 4th of July, that we change our date to the 4th of July.
Hey, Steve, real quick, Ryan Barker just texted me. We've been texting during this meeting, and they just decided to go ahead and do fireworks. Mayor Ruby said to get with Leonard. So they're going to.
So we will keep ours for Founder's Day, and then Mayor, but that will enable you, if the council approves it, to really put something out there that says what we want to do. Now, the next step to this, and I've been talking with Jerry, and hopefully Jerry is one of those 9 people that are still on. He's done a lot with our Heritage Days things. And, we have the list of everybody's stuff. And I think Jerry passed that out to everybody of all the different things that are on. I think there's 15 different things. Did everybody get that list of activities? I know Ann put a lot in there. There's a lot of fun things that we can do. But I would like to kind of turn the focus to the traditions for generations, and we can have, Sarah made a comment about all the historical houses. We could put together a map and have people walk to those, or, have some fun things at the cabin or something. I think Jerry would do a great job in organizing something along the lines where families could just do it individually. We could, the scavenger hunts and some of those things, that's kind of some fun things that I think we could do down the road that wouldn't require everybody being in a big group. But I think, anyway, that's what I have to say. So now talk and tell me what you think.
I think it's risky. I agree with you, Steve. I agree we should cancel. I hesitate to say let's continue with fireworks only because I feel like, I know myself, and I know that I would want to be as close as I could get, and I think that's the way everybody's going to be. I just think it's our responsibility as city council to try to protect the citizens as much as we can.
And that's where I disagree a little bit with that whole philosophy. We've given up so many rights as citizens, and we just voluntarily given those up. And if there are people that are sick or aged or don't want to be out there, stay home. And again, I think that'd be part of the mayor's comment or something in there, that we care for our residents, but this is something that we can build on to have a community pride. And Sarah and I talked about the parking lot at the high school. Do we close that? But I think we open it up. People might get out of their cars, but they're going to stay with their cars, and it's going to be a 15 or 20-minute fireworks show. And I just think that we've got to start somewhere.
When
Go ahead, Sarah.
when I talked to Corey and just some community members, I know Leonard mentioned that a lot of communities up here are canceling, but actually when Steve Schreiber called me, Salt Lake is getting together, and there's 8 major cities that are doing the fireworks within their own place, but they're blocking off all the places that usually people congregate to watch them. And they're doing them still, and Stadium of Fire still doing their fireworks, but not letting people come to the stadium, because people still want to have a feel of a community celebration of something, because everything, you wake up every day, like today, the Shakespeare Festival's canceled and everything's being canceled. So, but fireworks, I think in talking with Corey today about mitigating, you know, at least on the city's part, you can do what you can do to be responsible, like Kevin mentioned, of blocking off areas that are obvious congregational areas. And you can't police everybody, but you can at least do the city's part in saying, look, we mitigated, you know, the effects of people gathering, but we still want to do something to show that we are still here. We budgeted for it. I think it's important that we do still do some sort of celebration, and fireworks are, in my opinion, in talking with some of our, you know, Corey and some other people, that we could still do it relatively safely.
So I want to add my feelings. I'm sick and tired of everything being canceled. And so I'd like to go forward with what we can and be safe. So I think fireworks, I'm a yes. I'd love to see those happen. I'd love to see some non-traditional things happen, like maybe food trucks parked in different areas and advertising where that food truck is, keep our 6-foot distance. That could be in place of the salmon bake, you know, just, I'd like to still do some stuff. Let's just do different stuff and let's still celebrate, you know, let's bring in that heritage and do some scavenger hunts that take us to those heritage spots in a car or whatever. So I'd like to still do it just a non-traditional way.
The suggestion that Dave made in that email today, I brought up to Corey, and as far as blocking off streets and neighborhoods and stuff, he adamantly said there was no way to do that part, at least, is it, and doing like a block area, which is a really cool idea, but he said safely the police department wouldn't do that. And Ryan mentioned as far as the fire marshal area that they wouldn't approve that, blocking off a bunch of streets. But I think it would be really fun, but I don't know how to do that one safely when you encourage people to get out of their cars and walk around. So.
Yeah, and like Pine View's Canal, I mean, that's already packed, and I don't know how you would shut that down.
Yeah, I think what we should do here is we probably ought to have like a decision, a vote on canceling everything except fireworks, canceling everything that we currently are doing. In other words, the car show, the parade, the salmon bake, that kind of stuff. And then let the committee get together with Steve and Jerry and run over these other ideas that we can kind of incorporate instead of type of a thing. What can we do instead of, or what do we want to do instead of? How, you know, I'd like to keep it fairly simple. Couple of events, a couple of things. I don't think we need the whole week's worth of I don't want to look like we're trying too hard.
Well, but on the other hand, Mayor, don't you feel like a lot of these events will take a little bit of time and effort to set up, but once they're set up, they kind of take off on their own, and because they are virtual events, it's up to each individual person or family to decide whether or not they want to participate.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I just don't want like 20 of them. You know, if we have a few.
No, I think if we kind of have the theme of our heritage things, Jerry had some really good ideas about stuff that's going to go anyway. I mean, we have some of the things that they're working on right now that are going to go live, but we can just put it out there that these are directions that they can go. I mean, houses of the city, stories of the families from the houses, from the founding families. You know, he's got quite a bit of those types of things, the stories and things from our history. I think, you know, a scavenger hunt, just to put it out there.
A porch parade. Porch parade is easy. It's virtual.
Porch parades, those things, you know, send some pictures in. I think we could, because we normally spend, you know, several $1,000s. I think we could even put up maybe $100 prize in 5 categories or something. And, you know, the best flag, the best porch, the best essay. I mean, we could give, have an essay of the city. I mean, there are just several different things I think we could come up with that would be in that virtual area that people could maybe even utilize during the shutdown. I mean, who knows how much longer we're going to be shut down, but anyway, those are my thoughts. So, Mayor, I like your idea. Let's make a vote.
Yeah, and then let's get the committee together. Let's get the committee together.
And again, I'm sure Jerry is listening to this, so I'm sure that we'll get Heather to get that committee together for early next week.
If we want to put it in the magazine, we need to do it before.
Well, that's why I'd like a decision, and my article's due in the next 2 days.
Yeah, he'll hold off till
it's due before the 15th, and so I have to, even though it doesn't come out to the first week of the next month, I have to do my article this week, and I'd like to be able to say, yay, yes, we're doing fireworks, and we're not doing fireworks, whatever. Sorry, we're canceling all of Founder's Day. We're gonna do the fireworks and some other activities, or canceling all, and we're just gonna have some activities. Watch Facebook, watch our website for what's gonna come out in place of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, maybe we could say, instead of canceling the celebration's been altered. Our altered celebration, I just modified.
Yeah. Some people have said the days of 47 and the one they do in Provo, Stadium of Fire. Okay. They postponed it to next year, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to kid,
They're still doing the fireworks at Stadium of Fire.
Do them next year. So I hate that word postponed, but altered or changed or whatever.
I like modified,
Modified to comply with. And if we get some of these ideas going now, a few of them, and then we're still 6 weeks away. At the end of this month, they're talking about going from the orange to the yellow. And I don't know what that means exactly.
What does yellow mean?
That's why
10 feet, not 6 feet.
See some people, a good example is it's constantly evolving. Our Weaver School District came out, I believe it was today or yesterday, and said, "Oh, we're going to change. We made a decision a week ago that says we're going to do it this way. We're going to roll that back a little bit, and there will be the ability to walk under these guidelines." I bet that changes again. I just got a text from Ron Parker. Let me see what it says.
I know. I just got it too. Ooh. Do you want to read it? Ooh.
And the council is not participating in any fireworks.
They said yes, and then somebody persuaded them to say no.
All right, so that's North Ogden. We'll do what we do here.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, that we, and what was the word? Modify?
Yeah, let's go with modified. I like it.
I say that we modify the Founder's Day activities to include some yet to be decided on, and we'll put it, we'll make that decision on the 26th of what those virtual programs will be. And I think there'll be, along with some sort of a heritage something. And again, I think 2 or 3, I don't want to get too overwhelmed, but I would like to then also have the fireworks in the modified way by closing down the stadium. And do we not have to pay the school if we do that?
Yeah, they'll work out us a deal. We don't pay much anyway, and I don't think that they'll charge us much if they do.
So I'd like to just have that in modified. But now if this new thing here, could we possibly then move it to the 4th of July?
Now, what he mentioned to us, because he's already doing shows on the 4th, it's not so much that it's the equipment that he can't get here that provides all the stuff.
I know, but if North Ogden doesn't do it, Sarah, isn't that what you just said? North Ogden's not going to do it?
That's what Ryan just texted us. I'll check.
If North Ogden does not do it,
we're not the only 2 cities.
Yeah.
But North Ogden had they had the show, the same people were going to do the show for North Ogden.
But it wasn't going to be as big as our show. That's the difference. If you want a smaller show, sure, but he's already stretched with the equipment to other places, and he
So
brings.
as of now, with this motion, we'll keep the fireworks on the Founder's Day. Anyway, that's the motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Gibson, second by Arrington.
Fireworks on Founder's Day though.
Founder's Day.
Normal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just sent an email to Chief Wade to see if he has a preference also about the fireworks, but sounds like we decided in the middle of that. So.
and Ryan, I don't know what power Ryan has, but he said he'd be good with working with us on Founder's Day for the fireworks as planned. So
yeah.
I think if we do it, we need to keep it on Founder's Day because I think we want to limit the amount of people. And if we on a 4th of July, we're going to get a lot more people from out of other cities that'll come. And I think we just want to. Yeah, North Ogden will still probably come, and they usually do. A lot of them do, but I think we keep it on our own. I sure wish there was a way we could make a bigger area to block it off. I mean, there's not a lot of area in one park close by. What's that?
The rules are come June 27th.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be up to groups of 100.
I haven't canceled any food trucks yet, and so that's still an option if we can. So
Get Heather to schedule a meeting for next week.
Yeah, I'm not going to have a food truck at 10 o'clock. I'm not going to eat any food truck at 10.
Well, I think that's
during the day, not 10 during the day.
Staying late in the evening, but at least that's my suggestion. I think I really was hoping we could block off some of the city. I mean, I don't know why that would be an issue, really. Maybe some of the residential streets we couldn't, but we have access all around there. And I don't know.
There was just a concern with Corey and Ryan about emergency access and how to mitigate people congregating. So
we'll get Steve. We'll get with Heather. We'll set up something. We'll get it advertised because I think every one of the council members join that meeting, so we'll get it advertised and we'll have a meeting.
We're gonna meet next week.
Bill, could you have is Heather? Well, excuse me, Mayor. I guess we can finish with that motion. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. We have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right.
Bill, is Heather? Is she not working? Can you have her give me a call tomorrow?
Yeah, I sure will.
Thank you. And we'll get that set up, and I'll get with Jerry tonight after the meeting.
She was in today, but she can call you. She's working from home, so she'll call you from.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll come back to the closed meeting for the public who's watching. Let's do other business real quick. Apologize. A very important call came up that Chief Hadley had to leave. Chief Wade just texted me. I would prefer June 27th because on July 4th we do not have Weber Fire and Ogden Fire to assist us with our regular calls. So he would prefer June 27th.
Yeah.
So he had to step out and handle that. Doesn't look good. So anyway, we'll go Bill. Let's see. We usually do Tyson first. Should we do Tyson first? Dave, keep the order the same. Tyson.
Oh.
Coming by friends.
We had the part-timer Jaron Fronger start Monday, so we should see a new face around for seasonal parks help. Out at the multi-sports complex, we'd met and sort of talked with the mayor, and Steve met with a hydro seed company about some extra options to work into the opening that facility up. Parks has started fixing up the sprinklers, so right now we're focusing on fixing the sprinklers up, getting all the washed out areas filled, leveled. They're tuning in the sprinkler system itself, watering what grass was planted to get.
Really need to dial that back. that soil holds a lot of water, so I don't know what they were running it at, but let's really
Yeah.
get that moving before we reseed that.
Yes, and I guess something went out on, or something was set wrong on Saturday to Sunday, and apparently it ran overnight, and they found that, and that's kind of what we were talking about. Is this is the time you're working all those kinks out, where that one is the newest setup of all of them, and they don't have a lot of time and experience with that system and being different than all of them. So hopefully they can get all those kinks worked out while we're working on getting what Ormond is still on the hook for. So because of their very thin seeding, it ended where they were going to come back last fall. We've paid them for everything, and their warranty item would be to come back and reseed appropriately. Whether they argue any of their issues. So in the next 2 weeks between this council and the next, we'll continue making the improvements. We removed all the chip seal. We'll keep doing the minor things until the 26th, where in that 2-week period, my hope is to have ironed out whatever Ormond is going to do. And if it's not, yes, sir.
I personally don't want Ormond to do anything other than give us a check. So
don't they have to reseed it though?
No, Mayor, what do you think?
We got to find out what they can do or are willing to do.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want them coming back in and reseeding half baked again. I think we need to see what their dollar amount is, what they feel that warranty is. You know, if that's $10,000 or $5,000 or $3,000, whatever that is. And I think you should just say, okay, whatever we agree on, the price is, we need to get that in cash. And then do it right.
And we can absolutely work towards that. I don't, where we've already paid them and established all of that. I don't know if that'll become an issue with them.
Well, they're gonna have to pay somebody to come in and redo it. I mean, they're not gonna get out there with the spreader themselves. So
yes,
again, Mayor Bill. I mean, I'm not, but that's what I think should happen.
Okay, no, and while we're working on that, in the meantime, in that 2-week period, because I'll have to come back to council regardless.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I'll still keep working on getting actual bids from others of our own contractors based off the information with the bag and the spec and everything we want and expect, and have that ready to come in.
One thing, Tyson, one thing also, we had about 187,000 square feet or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's more like 207.
Yeah, he did a Google Earth thing, and it's over 200. So we need to make sure that that's correct, whatever that square footage is.
No, so since then I got the surveyed in, so the actual surveyed in from the last project, at the 207 square feet, and that gets you the base, the hills, and 3 foot up on top.
All right.
And that's what all the Ormond pricing and all that was based off of, and the actuals once they got on site and we're doing the grading and during that project.
All right, as long as you're working on those bids and then Ormond simultaneously, so.
Yes, and then also on the 26th, we'll come in for approval to go out to bid for the D-cell lane for that project. But so all that should run on the 26th, and those will be the 2 big steps that require approvals. And we'll keep working on, so they've sprayed out there and all your normal maintenance to kind of prep and get ready. I've got the timeline of what we need to shut everything down let it dry out to meet the needs for hydro seeding either way.
Yeah, because I don't think you need to water out there for the next 2 weeks, Tyson. I mean, make sure they all work, but that is so wet. The mayor's he's a light guy, and he was dancing around like he was on Jello.
Well, we want to make sure if we're not going to sanitize or kill everything, we're going to try to keep the existing grass and just kill the weeds, and we're going to have to.
Yeah, but there's enough water out there, Mayor. I mean, it can last for a week or two. I just don't think it's. I mean that clay. I mean, it's
sprinkler system dialed in, and then
yeah. So and that's so you don't want to have those issues when you add new seeds. So
no, we got to get it working, but we don't just. I mean, did you see the picture that I sent the mayor?
I don't think you did. It was like
it was a swimming pool out there. Okay.
But yeah, get that, and I think the important part is get the sprinkler system dialed in so it's not putting 2 inches of water. I just called the picture up. If anybody wants to see it, Larry can hold it up to the camera.
I'd like to see it.
You can see it looks like a lake. So
oh, wow.
We need to get that sprinkler system dialed in so it's just putting a little bit of water on there.
You got to keep in mind too. You got to keep in mind too, when there's a rain event, there will be water in the bottom of that. That is a detention pond.
This wasn't a rain event, though.
Bill, this was not the rain. We haven't had rain. That was the sprinklers I drove past. One set was on. I went about an hour later. I came. The second set was on, running for. I mean, I don't know exactly when it switched over, but it was on for 30, 40 minutes.
The bottom line is it's really important to get that sprinkler system dialed in for hydro-seeded grass. So let's really make that a priority so that when we do this all in 2 weeks and make the decision which bid or which way we want to go, we have it dialed in so it doesn't get flooded, it doesn't get washed away, it gets the right amount of water for what we're trying to do. I don't want to waste any more time and money. Make this an operational part.
And just for information, this guy, I really like this guy. He's from Grass Plus, but he says if with proper application of the seed, they could be playing on that in the fall. And he does a lot of parks.
Yeah, he did Barker Park here.
Yeah.
So he does have experience in our city. This is good park, good grass. All right, Tyson, other things?
We'll make sure he gets one.
So are you saying you're going to have Grass Plus come and bid this, or
they've already bid?
We're going to have 3 bids.
Okay.
Plus whatever Orman.
So per our purchasing policy, I have to do formal bidding and get your approvals. So I'll get all the bids and we'll bring together a staff report and come in the 26th.
Okay.
So we'll get 3 bids and the current company, whatever is Cottonwood or whatever, they're going to pay for it. Is that what we're saying?
No, we're going to see what they'll do. That's part of what he's gathering together.
Okay.
The current company, Orman, Dave, they did the original job. And so there's a warranty because it didn't work. And so they have to come back and do something, but I don't want to let them just do something crappy like they did before.
Just in fairness, it wasn't their company. They
yeah. No, it was a crappy situation. But anyway, whatever it's going to cost for them to do it, again, on the warranty, I wanted to have us be in charge of doing it. That's what I want to see done. So if we get $1 from them, anyway, Tyson will do that.
Yes, we will work that in, and unless there's something I'm not aware of and they fight it, I don't know if they will or not, then that's the direction we will take it, though.
Would you like me to talk to them, Tyson? I'd be happy to have that battle. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Anything else, Tyson, before we move on?
No, I'm all right.
All right. We're going to actually skip Bill and go to Ann. Ann's going to have to excuse herself sometime in the near future. And so I'm going to give her an opportunity to.
Yeah, thanks. I don't have anything to add to the meeting tonight.
All right. That was quick, see? At least I got to call on her. Okay, now we'll go to Bill.
We, Tyson and I met with our Skyline Drive engineers and several different property owners in succession. We tried to make sure that they stayed socially distant apart and everything. So we used the whole council chambers to get everybody in, and Tyson and I sat at the back away from the engineers, and I think it worked out pretty well. This is the phase 2 portion of Skyline Drive, the portion between 1100 West and 500 West. So these folks came in. We didn't have specific offers for them yet. The appraisals will be ongoing, but the idea was to get out ahead of it a little bit and let them know what's going on, how their property is going to be affected by Skyline Drive and the improvements that are going in there. The overall feel was cautious optimism. Nobody likes the trucks going in front of their road, in front of their house. And so they were excited to see that the improvements are going to take place. They were concerned about how it was going to affect their property. The nice thing about that section of the road is that we have a lot of the property already in place that we need. But some of them have, as happens, assumed that some of the property that belongs to the city was theirs. And so they had a little bit of heartburn accepting the idea that the city does own what is they think is their property, and that we actually don't need to get a whole lot of property from them. However, the property that we do have to get from them may be expensive, and so we'll see how that goes. Again, this is not something that concerns us financially necessarily, because we're using WACOG funding for this portion of the project, but just wanted to make sure that you're aware that this was going on in case you hear rumors or words or comments or concerns from residents. We are reaching out to them in an effort to discuss the design of the road early, and then as the appraisals come in, we'll reach out to them again and let them know how that process turned out. Like I said, the general feel of the room was cautious optimism. Some people had some specific concerns. Mr. Jones, for example, wants the city to rezone his property so he can split it. That's probably not likely to happen. The people that bought the Omen Acres up there on the top of the hill, oh, I forget their address, 523 something, 4300. Anyway, they were concerned because they weren't aware that the city did own as much of the right of way as we do own. They assumed that property was theirs to do with what they want, and they spent some money on extensive landscaping in there, and they were disappointed to hear that that wasn't actually their property. So, you know, that's not much we can do with that. So, yeah, just a heads up on that. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. Everything else, as far as the city is concerned, with City Hall and things like that, I haven't heard any complaints. Have you guys had any concerns or anything brought up to any of you guys about the way City Hall is operating? No? Okay. If you do, please let me know. We're trying to use this adaptive schedule and scheduling things until we get that what I'm calling the sneeze guard put in around the front office here. So that'll be nice to protect our employees and residents and things.
It's actually the security thing we talked about.
Yeah.
Gonna kill two birds with one stone type thing. We talked about it as part of that security audit. It's like, well, that's gonna act as the sneeze guard or whatever. If we get that in place, so let's all go ahead and get it in place before we open back up. So not only will it provide the security that we talked about, it will also, you know, give that physical barrier. In case Steve comes in, it looks like he's got the vid. He just keeps coughing. It seems.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for me.
Okay. We'll just go around. Sarah.
No, we talked about most of what we were about Founders Day and the fireworks, so I don't have anything else to add.
Okay, Dave.
Just curious about Richard Lewis. I don't, what was he referring to tonight? Anybody know?
Yes, too much.
It's kind of an ongoing battle between him and his neighbor. And
Which neighbor?
The south of him. I don't know his name.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Mr. Andy Anderson.
He's got a hedge planted there. You know, we worked with the attorney. The existing ordinance really was kind of vague and really didn't cover it. So we redid the ordinance, which basically grandfathers. It's really him and Andy need to work it out. It wants the city to be involved to take care of the problem, and it's just not going to happen. We can't. It's.
Have you told him that yet?
Or anything like that.
Have you told him it's that
Yes,
there's nothing we can do? Okay.
So, yeah.
Another thing I've been thinking about here is, especially with this, a lot of everybody using the internet stuff here, but has the city ever discussed fiber optic plans or anything like that? Has this been a topic that's ever been discussed and that I know of? I don't know.
Yes, it was discussed 15 years ago. The city was approached by Utopia at the time. You know, the discussion back to council at that time was we didn't feel like it was the taxpayer's responsibility to ensure everybody had fiber optic quality. It was very expensive. The city opted out of it at that time with Utopia. You know, things have changed. I personally, it's a real tough one because I really wish some people would step up and bring in some stuff, whether it's Google Home or Utopia or whatever, and make it available to our residents. It's not I don't know if the city should be spending money, because that's what we'd have to do. We'd have to spend a lot of money in order to bring these companies in and then we'd have to charge all of the residents, kind of like we do a utility tax or a utility fee to pay for, whether they were on it or not, some sort of broadband or fiber service. So it's certainly something, if the council's of a mind to want to do that throughout the city, we could get some proposals, see what the actual cost is. It's just, what is the role of the city government as far as it's spotty. I get that. Most of the city does have high-speed internet available, or you know, I do. I didn't for years. Back when we had this discussion, I didn't. Back in when I built in the mid 90s, they were building so fast they were putting multiplexers in just for phone service. So couldn't even get DSL at the time because they were multiplexing and anyway.
Wasn't it?
It might not, but it took a good 10 years before we got cable service in my area. So I use Comcast, and it is spotty, but it's high speed when it's working. Others have to use DSL. Others have to use, you know, like a satellite type of. So there's all kinds of different ones out there. But it wasn't the city.
I'm just curious. It's something I'd like to look into some more, and maybe we can. It's not an urgent thing by any means, but I mean, we ought to be looking at what that future is, so we're not behind if there is something that's heading that way. But it seems like a lot of cities have gone that way, and I don't know if they're happy with it. I've heard a few that are happy with it, but I don't know. Just wanted to find out what you guys knew. So.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Steve? Nothing? Kevin?
I'm good. Thank you.
What did I miss? Did I get everybody? All right. I have a couple of things. One, just inform you, we've been meeting when this whole thing hit. I called a Monday morning meeting every Monday morning. I had all the department heads in to talk about what we needed to do in each area, and I think Bill's done a really good job of keeping you informed of what I talked about what we decided as a staff and the implementation of such. I've scaled that back, took my cues from the governor and the president to scale back those meetings. We'll be meeting every other week now, back to our normal staff meeting, which is Wednesday mornings, every other Wednesday. So we meet before we have our project review meeting. So we've kind of scaled that back a little bit. However, I told the staff, if things change or if things, if we get new information, don't wait 2 weeks, get it to me and get it to Bill, and we'll make decisions, as we need to. So it's not like, oh, yeah, we're not going to meet for another week and a half. I wonder what's happened. One of those things that just came across was a request from Heather about our park and our Bowery reservations. She reached out and said, hey, we have reservations for our Boweries. How do we want to implement that? Do we want to cancel them? Do we want to allow them to go forward under the governor's orange guidelines? My gut feel is that's probably prudent. The orange guidelines is you can have groups up to 20, and they're supposed to, and there's guidelines. And I don't know if we want to post those guidelines or hand them to them. This is new to Bill, and that's just, I've been thinking about that. If the guidelines are starting, if we went from red to orange, then we probably shouldn't stay at red. We probably ought to implement what we can under the orange and then start getting things back open again. What's your feel? Anybody got an opinion one way or the other? Agree.
Yeah, I think we ought to continue to follow the guidelines, and let's let them meet as much as they can.
Okay.
Does it
Under the orange condition?
One of my things with Utah, I think we're able to test really easy here, and so I think things are going to we can isolate people and get things resolved quickly. So.
Yeah, they've changed their testing guidelines now to anybody, even if you don't have symptoms, can be tested.
So I think that's going to help us.
Family groups, and so people get together. I had a dozen people over to my house for Mother's Day, all family members, but we had a group that did the best we could. Social distance.
I think we ought to strongly encourage them to do, and not just say encourage them, but say these are the rules, but maybe we don't really need to enforce them. We need to be careful about how we enforce it, I guess. What I'm saying.
Well, we haven't ever been, and when I've talked with the chief about it, he and I agree that we're not going to be the gathering police. We're not going to go in with guns blazing and drive people from their homes or from the park or whatever. One of the things I was going to ask though is under the orange situation, the orange color, is that playgrounds are not going to be open. So if we open the pavilions and the grassy areas to play and use, we should probably still keep the playgrounds closed.
Yeah, until those guidelines change.
Okay.
How do you do that though if they rent a Bowery and the playground's right there and they have a family gathering?
Well, they're taped off now.
Yeah.
Can we have the playgrounds reserved by the family? I mean, it's typically going to be a family group, likely. I mean,
if the guidelines says no playgrounds, no.
Not under the current guidelines. I think we should adhere to the orange guidelines, and when we go to yellow, we'll modify them to yellow. Yeah. That might be in 2 weeks. I think the first rental is. Do you remember? I don't remember. I can look it up on the top. But.
Is there an assumption of somebody sanitizing the area between after? Because I don't know how anybody would do that.
That's a good question. I think that would be one of the requirements of reserving the Bowery.
No, you could have mothers going to wash their kids' hands, for heaven's sakes. I mean,
I know we have one reservation this month. We have 3, and this is for Barker Park and Shady Lane. I want to say we have 3 at Shady Lane next month, 2 next month for Barker, 5 or 6 in July for Shady Lane, 3 in Barker Park, and then August has a large gathering reservation and 4 other ones.
I would just lump playgrounds in with Boweries, because if you're letting them on the Boweries, they're using the playgrounds. And Public Works would be.
And someone would have to go and clean it up and sanitize it.
What about bathrooms too? The bathrooms open with?
Bathrooms
they have-
aren't open under orange. Public bathrooms aren't.
So we wouldn't have any bathrooms at any of our Boweries either, right?
Nope.
You know, one thing, like with my background in dentistry, this bug's not hard to kill. It's just a soapy water. Like, it's not a big deal. So, I mean, if we want them to rent the Bowery, maybe we just say, you know, just part of that is just a soapy water wash down when you're done or whatever. So.
And I would like to add to that, we are no different. If you look at all the businesses that are opening, all the people that are out there, they're doing these things to help mitigate this, and they have to do it too. I don't think we can just say, oh, this sounds too hard to try to protect people, so let's just keep it closed. I'm not sure that's really, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I think that if we're going to, I think that there's a healthy balance and we need to do our part as part of their tax paying money. We're going to do our part too to help mitigate, you know, the spread. And we should, if other businesses are required to, you know, be careful and follow certain precautions, we should as well.
Yeah, I think some things we can do is just say, okay, we're not going to have any back-to-back ones on the same day. You know, so if we got any scheduled on the same day, maybe we have to reschedule them or something, so that we have some time in between to, you know, whatever, to go in and wash down. And most likely, if they're not the same day, it's just going to die off anyway without us doing anything. But we could go down there and spray it off or whatever needs to be. It's just if one after another would certainly be a problem. It's like, how do you clean between two groups, especially on a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that. So Dave?
Yeah, I just think we need to be smart about that though too. I mean, if we don't open the bathrooms for the Boweries, I mean, I realize that's not open to a public, but it may be open to a group that's allowed to meet there at a certain size. If we don't open them, it's going to be more of a health hazard than if we, you know, if we have them closed. That's my thoughts anyway. But I do think we ought to do our part to clean if we can. I mean, that's what our normal. Maybe it's beyond what our normal process is for the city.
I'll tell you what, why don't we, staff will get out the orange guidelines for this, and we'll follow the orange guidelines, and hopefully we got one in May. You know, they're still talking about by the end of the month going to yellow. This county's doing pretty good. This county's doing really good, and so. The city's doing really good. We're at 10 and holding. And so it's been that way for several weeks now. It's been for about 4 weeks. We were at 9 and we got 1. And I'm not sure that was, I think that was the same family that the other one, they just started showing symptoms. So anyway, whatever. So we'll just kind of get those out, and we'll certainly follow those, and maybe we'll have this discussion with staff after we review the regulations. Maybe we'll end up canceling the May one and seeing what happens if we move to yellow. Then hopefully we can get the bathrooms open and some other things and do what we have to do that way. Does that sound fair? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other things before we end
we do this? I set up the same Zoom meeting for the RDA meeting. That should be like 5 minutes.
Oh, and we'll do the RDA before
Before we
we,
do a closed meeting.
all right,
We'll
so
stop it.
we will, Laura would like us to suspend this meeting and go into the RDA meeting. And whatever it is,
Do you need a motion?
And go into the RDA meeting, which is just a little quickie do one, and then we'll come back to do our closed meeting. So I'd entertain a motion to suspend this meeting to go into the RDA meeting.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Yuri, second by Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so this is the Pleasant View. Do you need to change anything or?
Nope.
Okay, we're in the Pleasant View City Redevelopment Agency meeting, May 12th, 2020. It is 9:08. And first item on the agenda is the minutes of December 10th, 2019 meeting. It's on the back of your agenda there. It's pretty simple. So I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Anybody?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Arrington, second by Mary. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. All right. First item on the agenda is a budget workshop for the redevelopment. All right.
Nothing has changed on the RDA. It's been the same the last couple workshops, and so unless you guys want to say anything about it.
Anybody? Okay, we'll move to item 2, which is to tentatively adopt the tentative budget for the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
That's a lot of tentatives. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Arrington, second by Yuri. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item 3 is to set a public hearing to consider amending the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget and adopt the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget.
June 9th.
June 9th is a suggestion. We'll do that immediately following our regular. That suggestion okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Need a motion?
You need a motion for that.
I make a motion that we set a public hearing for the RDA on June 9th.
Okay.
Second it.
Motion by Bailey, second by Marion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the redevelopment agency meeting and reconvene our regular meeting.
I'll make that motion to adjourn the redevelopment agency meeting.
Motion by Yuri, second by Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll go back to item 15, which is a closed meeting. I assume we need a closed meeting.
Yeah, we do, please.
Okay.
It's to discuss potential litigation.
Okay. Entertain a motion to go to a closed meeting to discuss litigation.
I'll move that we go to a closed meeting.
I'll second it.
At a roll call, all right? Okay, that's a roll call vote. Okay, motion by Mary, second by Yuri. Roll call vote. Dave?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, we're in a closed meeting. So just a moment, we got to terminate the YouTube.
I think we stopped well, I need the recording, but I'm gonna use this one.
Okay. Thanks for all of you that joined us on YouTube. Sorry, we got to kick you off.
How many did we have, Bill?
We had a maximum of 12 at one point.
Wow.
5 are currently watching, including myself. So thanks, everybody.
Stop.